Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Darren After the Credits. How is it going, everybody? How is it poppin'? What's going on? We have the full crew back together, which
Yes.
we have not had in like 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's been almost a month since we've all
Yeah.
been
It was
on
like,
at
well,
the same
Taz was
time.
off, and Darth was off, and
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people went to prison, and some people traveled across the country. No.
I went to Mars.
Mm, sure, sure. No, it's been crazy. Um, Genuinely might be one of the most hyped shows to talk about, in my opinion. Like, we had
Yeah.
obviously the season finale of Daredevil, right? Which a lot of fun things to talk about there. Set it for next season. Doctor Who may have had one of my favorite episodes of all time this week, which I'm really excited to talk to Darth about. Um, and then Last of Us put out an interesting episode for sure, to
Oh
say
yeah.
the
Oh
least.
yeah. That was
Arguably, I'd
the
argue
the
probably
the largest episode, the most important episode of probably the entire show.
I was just telling Darth that, where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have him dip once we get there because it's arguably the most important the show will ever get.
Yeah.
It is the crust of what season one is leading to, and is the crust of what every season will be going forward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to talk about that. So obviously in the comments, just lay off the like Last of Us stuff just until we get there, just to keep Darth in the know. Me
Yeah,
and Taz were.
keep the illusion
Mm,
alive.
I will
The illusion of
say
mystery.
there is a relief this episode happened so early because
Yeah.
there is a bit of a relief as a fan of it. It was like, okay, we can deal with the aftermath of this thing, but
Right.
also it's like we don't have to keep that a secret for hopefully too awfully long, right? We don't
Yeah.
have to go the whole season without it. So
There's no more guessing game. It's like
yes,
the big thing has happened. Now we can move on and start speculating on other things.
absolutely, absolutely. One Marvel fan, hello, how's it going?
Hello there.
Born again.
Born again.
Jose. So yeah, we're gonna get this thing jet started really quickly.
Yeah.
Taz, we finished some seasons of TV recently.
Yes, we did.
You wanna talk about Lucifer?
Yeah, so I finished Lucifer, number one. Number two, I may or may not have ordered a Lucifer Funko Pop because I enjoyed the show so much.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
this was a this final season was interesting to me. Like it was a shorter season. Again, it was a 10 episode season. It definitely felt like, looking back at where the show started and where it ended, it felt like not necessarily a completely different show, but you could tell how it evolved, how it changed over time. I
Sure.
really did end up loving Lucifer's arc. Basically, the whole show, the whole crux of the show is redeeming the devil. Like, he can actually be, he might have been a bad guy, but he's not such a bad guy. You know what I mean? And I think I think that's really, really fun. I think really every character got a chance to shine at one point or another throughout the series. They did a, I guess, a trope that we've seen a lot, especially with CW shows and shows of the like, with the kind of, future
The
child
future
comes
daughter.
back in time. Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, I know exactly where you're going with this story, but the way that it kind of flipped it on its head and became a self-fulfilling prophecy was a big twist that I wasn't necessarily expecting going into
Mm,
it. And the way that they executed it was actually really well done. And I found myself getting pretty emotional at the end of the series.
sure.
Actually, like, I kind of teared up. I mean, I speed ran this show. I watched it all within like maybe a month or
Hmm.
so. But I really enjoyed it. I felt like I
Yeah.
really connected to the characters. I think it's a pretty satisfying ending. I know you said
Yeah.
going into it that it was going to be a very definitive ending. Like, you could definitely go elsewhere from there. You could certainly have a show set from
Sure.
where it ends. But also, we don't necessarily need it. Yes,
Yeah.
would I like these actors and these characters to pop up again in a future DC project or a future, Vertigo label project, 100%. But do we need that right now? Do we need that
Mm,
in the, close future? Not
yeah.
necessarily. But I'd love to revisit them at some point and kind of catch up and see where things were.
Yeah, I know. Like when that was happening, like when that show ended, there's a lot of talks of like, would you come back for a movie or would you do some kind of spin-off? And I know like the whole daughter was answering a bunch of questions like, oh, I'd love to do a spin-off. And I know like Amenadiel was like, oh, I'd do a spin-off based on like there's all these different various things,
Yeah.
but it does end in such a way where it's like, I'd personally rather not because that is such a special ending and it is
Yeah.
such a I was holding my tongue last week when like we were talking about like him going to heaven and that being his arc, but I do like that like last minute
Yes, I do
switch
too.
of
I do
like,
too. It was very
oh,
fitting.
I thought it was my destiny to go to heaven and be God and do all these things, but it's actually where I'm supposed to be is where I started from, but changing it so like from my perspective and my view of the world from these 6 seasons will now
Right.
change how I run it and
Right, and
fundamentally
going about
change.
things, yeah, going about things in a different
Perfect.
way,
Yeah.
being changed from his experiences and those experiences that changed him, he thinks that now he can change other people who were in
Mm,
similar
yeah.
situations to him and help them get to the point in which Lucifer never thought he would be worthy of being at. And I think
Sure.
that that's, and the fact too that you do get a bittersweet, sad, happy ending where for a while everybody's separated, but then we all kind of come back together by the end of things. And again, I think it was a very nice way to end things off.
Yeah.
I
Like
would
I like
say,
I talked
what
about
was
it being
what was your favorite season after what you're about to say?
probably so season 4. I think
Four.
I remember enjoying season 4 a lot. But like I mean you can probably see now why I said like it was a bit of a controversial ending because it's a very bittersweet ending, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily get the girl in the way that people thought he would, right? Like they had to
Hmm.
take, like it was a very sad. It very. I think I mentioned this like last week. It's very Arrow season 8 the way it ends.
Yeah, I honestly, I sent you this message immediately afterwards. I kind of got a little bit of Superman and Lois vibe
A
at the
little
end
bit,
of it
yeah,
because of just the way that it ended. Like, open up the door and oh, who's on the other side of the door?
yeah,
That kind of thing. So
very nice.
interesting. Yeah, some very interesting parallels. Who would have thought that we would be paralleling Lucifer and Superman? But I guess Superman was
Yeah,
on Lucifer. So
yeah. Darth, have you watched any fun things recently?
Um, just been catching up on Severance, honestly. I'm on season
Yeah,
2, episode 3.
hell yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I have so many questions. Um,
Me
because
too, and I'm done.
e- even when it's thinking, it thinks it's giving you an answer. It's not even close, you know.
Mm.
Um,
It's one of those shows that answers its questions with more questions. Yeah.
and I don't hate it,
Oh no, it's fantastic.
admittedly. Um, I love the characters, even the ones that I hate. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, because I never really hated Miss
Cobell?
Cobell, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, because you just love to have her there causing chaos and just being, why are you there? Why is this your thing? What is your intention here? Because goes far beyond your job. This is some twisted shit, you know? Um, and who better to play that role? Um, and Mr. Milchek. Oh my God.
He's so good
Wow.
this season.
So good. Genuinely, I think like that whole dance scene where he's like dancing away, like really kind of reinforced the fact that
Mm.
he reminds me of the octopus from Toy Story 3 as the villain. Right. And I
I
can't
somehow
unsee it.
see it. That's a weird comparison, but somehow I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Like especially when he's like running up the hallways. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
he's basically like just running up the halls like it's just oh my God. Um
Really quickly, did you the informational video, I think it's episode 2. Did you recognize who is voicing it of season 2?
um
Or maybe it's episode 1. It's either episode 1 or episode 2.
I did remember calling something out. Can you refresh my memory?
It was Keanu Reeves. They randomly got for
Yes,
this.
I said that. I said that. Yeah.
And fun fact about that, that wasn't the first person that they reached out to. And I know you're not American, but the first person that they emailed to play that like narrator was Barack Obama. they had reached out, like Ben Stiller had like reached out and was like, "Hey, we're doing the show. We were wondering if you could like do this little scene." He's like, "Oh man, I love the show. It's a great show, but I can't. I'm too busy right now."
That would have been such a weird pull. Like even more than Keanu Reeves, right? Because Keanu Reeves makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because everybody wants Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
You know? Obama.
Hey Cameron, how's it going, buddy?
That's an odd first choice, but also like that's a big jump from like one to the other. Yeah.
See, the thing is, right, is I'm like it's all private sector, right? But for the fact that they're trying to push it into like the military and try and make it public, it's all private sector. So if they used Obama, like I would immediately just start thinking, oh, government. Like, oh, this is like a government thing. This is just oh, this is what this is. Like this isn't even private sector anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of good because that would have been a red herring no one would have wanted.
Yeah, no, it would have been crazy. Yeah, I finished You season 3 this week. It took me too long to get through season 3. I'm hoping I need to speedrun because it literally comes out in 2 days.
Like, 2 or 3 days. What is it? The 24th, I think.
Yeah, because Andor's tomorrow. So is it Wednesday? Comes out?
No, Andor's Wednesday, right?
You season 5, April 24th. Yeah. So and then Andor's tomorrow.
Andor's tomorrow. Yeah.
What season 5?
Mm-hmm. What?
You season 5.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I haven't started it. Like I haven't started my like revisit through and like I watched Rogue One this week and prep. And I still haven't. I'm like, okay,
dude, I could not
then
watch. I'm sorry. Like, we're gonna get to it at some point, but I couldn't watch Andor season 1 again. Like,
really,
I don't. It was such a.
It's so funny
for me.
The contrast of my friendships are so interesting because you guys borderly like really dislike it, right?
Yeah, I actually came up with
its quality. I see its quality, right? But
yeah, exactly. Like production wise, it's a well-made show. But I really think I think I nailed my opinion on the show, right? I think it's because it's a Star Wars show for non-Star Wars fans, if that makes sense. There's a complete absence of everything you would think from a normal Star Wars project. There's no mystery around the Force. There's no, Jedi Sith conflict or anything like that. This is all like politics of Star Wars and like Star Wars underworld stuff, which again is not a bad thing, but there's nothing necessarily recognizable outside of the Empire. And not that you need to have something recognizable, but take a show like Skeleton Crew, for example, right? It wasn't related to anything major, but we still had that mysticism of the Force and Jedi and like space pirates and all of this like really cool like Star Wars world building lore stuff. I feel like with Andor, yes, it's supposed to be a prequel to Rogue One, which, was kind of the outlier Star Wars movie that is just about, stealing the Death Star plans and everything like that. Everybody always mentions how their favorite scene of that movie is the Vader scene. But why is that everybody's favorite scene of the movie? It's because Vader is Star Wars. Sith and Jedi are Star Wars. And without that aspect, it feels kind of just like another space thing, to me at least.
You know what's crazy? Do you know what's crazy? Right? This just highlights Darren's point, right? Because I feel the complete opposite. I feel like that this is a super like retro-y feel to Star Wars. But like now, do you know what I mean? It almost feels like if people were making like a retrospective or something and they brought out a show from then. It's kind of it's interesting because you're right. Like a lot of stuff is removed from it, but because of how well they did with production and costume design and everything else, for for me, I never lost that.
Yeah.
Like, it all
I mean,
still felt
I still feel like Rogue One though is
it's
the best Disney Star Wars movie. Like if you had
Mm,
to rank all of them, I would say
I would
Rogue One
agree.
is probably the best movie that Disney Star Wars has made.
Well, I watched it this week because like I had always said it was my least favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Because the first
Really.
time I watched it, I was so bored. I was like, "This sucks," and then I
I would
rewatched it.
say Force Awakens,
Force Awakens is just a paint by numbers remake of A New Hope for the most part.
which
It's
was
just
like the best,
yeah, but if
second,
I
like
want to
the
watch A New
best, that was
Hope, I'm
second
gonna
best
watch A
Star
New
Wars.
Hope. You know?
Yeah, but
Like I'm not gonna
again,
watch
like,
the cheap knockoff.
no, but again, it's not a cheap knockoff. Like it's it's like Toy Story 3. Do you know what I mean? Like you watch Toy Story 3, and the intro of that is them redoing the intro of Toy Story 1. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's reimagined. That's the whole point.
Right.
It's people playing with the same toys, different toys in the same similar way. Do you know what I mean? Like, but in the same sandbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So I would argue seven
No,
over Brick.
yeah, I definitely get that. I think from the main line of the movies, I think Force Awakens is the best of the bunch. Except when
Best
you
of that
look at it
trilogy.
in retrospect, it set up so many things that were never paid off, and that's a whole debate for another day. The whole J.J. Abrams mystery box kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I could go down this rabbit hole for hours and hours and hours, which I know we've got other topics to cover. But
So
I'm sorry, I'm a certified Andor hater. I hope season 2
yeah,
changes my mind on that one. I know it's been
Okay,
getting some really good
I'm not an Andor
reviews.
hater. I did like it, right? I did like
sure.
Andor season 1, but again, like it needed like a big build.
Mm,
It was
yeah.
slow as hell. It was like a sand crawler, right? But then
Yeah.
when it had that triumphant moment, it was great.
I just
You know
felt
what I
like
mean?
it wasn't worth the wait. Like I feel like certain
That's fair.
things, like think about like Daredevil season 1, that slow burn to him finally getting the suit at the end, that's worth it in my
Mm,
mind because I enjoyed the journey to get there. With
sure.
Andor, it was a slow burn. I felt like we took like 5 different like side quests and side routes to get to a roundabout way of finishing something that had a big payoff, but the journey to get to that payoff didn't feel worth it or fun to me. Again, that's just my opinion. I again recognize that it's a very well made, well put together,
Hmm.
well directed, well acted show. On a technical level, it is a good show. It's just not what I look for in my Star Wars, if
Sure.
that makes sense. And again, that's the whole debate there, right? Is
Hashtag
everybody's
Thomas Wars.
allowed to enjoy different aspects of Star Wars for different reasons, and I don't vibe with it. And I hope season 2 is different. I hope season 2 is better. When this was announced, it was announced as a two season
Yes.
plan, and that
Yeah.
season 2 was always meant to be
The payoff.
the bigger
Yeah.
piece of the puzzle, and season 1 was the setup for that grand finale with season 2. So again, I hope they can change my mind. I
Well,
really
that's
do.
what I was gonna like ask because like I haven't finished season one. I'm planning on doing that this. I have like 3 days off. These next couple days, I'm gonna do Andor, and just swipe them out, right? But like
That's ambitious.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try. But like with that, like you said, or like we were just saying, like I did hear season one was like the build up, and season two is the payoff to the story. It's like act one and two, and this would be act three,
Hmm.
kind of. So I'm curious if your opinions will change, and also, and this might come across very like high minded, but I am wondering if talking about it on here will also bring you a bit more joy, similarly to how I enjoyed Skeleton Crew way more because we were sitting here talking about it. Like I don't think I would have had that much fun if I was just watching it on my own. If we weren't doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you'll have more fun like talking about it as a unit, almost as like our end of the week, like weekly event, if you will.
Oh
Um,
yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
but we had Star Wars Celebration while we're on the Star Wars train.
Yeah,
So we're
yeah.
gonna speed run some of these stories. Some of these are just kind of stuff we already knew about. Some of this is news. A new Star Wars trilogy is confirmed to be in the works. We've heard about this. It was rumored. It was speculated. Everyone was talking about it, but they got on stage and officially announced the new trilogy. Are we excited for a new trilogy? We still don't know if it's exactly a
I,
part of the Skywalker saga, a side of it.
yeah. I feelings to be reserved until we know what the trilogy is actually about.
What is it
And
about? Yeah,
like they said as well, there's like three other movies, trilogies, whatever, from other different
sure.
directors, and
Yeah.
everything just keeps
Yeah.
getting swapped around and changed. And I don't really know where we're going here until we get like a
Mm,
concrete idea, like, all right, these are episodes 10, 11, 12, or this is a brand new trilogy set in the High Republic era or the Old Republic,
sure.
or 500 years in the future from the end of the sequel trilogy. Like, just
Sure.
give me that, and then I can make a base from that.
It's interesting that we hear about this and not the Ray movie at this event because, as far as I
Yeah,
heard, the
that's
Ray
very
movie's first,
weird.
right? It's like the Ray movie to kind of wrap up that era, and then we time jump a little bit when she's old, right? Like that's rumored.
Yes and no. We'll get to it, but I think it's tied to the Ryan Gosling movie in a lot of
We think that's the
ways.
same project.
No, I don't think it's the same project, but I
Okay.
think the Ryan Gosling movie is going to be set up for the Ray movie, because the Ryan Gosling movie is going to
Interesting.
be the furthest ahead in the timeline. I think it's like 5 years or something like that
Hmm.
post Rise of Skywalker. So that'll be the furthest point in the timeline that we've been to.
But
And for a while, there were rumors that Ryan Gosling played a role in that Ray movie.
that would be
So
even more like
it
why
it is
announce
it
this
is it
trilogy in
doesn't
the first
it's
place? If
it's
you're
so weird. Yeah,
2 movies removed from this, that's even more
yeah.
confusing.
Mhm.
Not to mention the whole wrap up to the like Mando verse kind of movie they're
And
doing,
that's its
right?
own separate
That's
that's its
separate.
own separate thing, because that's taking place in between 6 and 7, in
That's
that little, like, whatever, that like 30-year gap
I kind of
in
wish they
there.
weren't doing like this. Seems very ambitious. This feels like almost too ambitious. I know what like as an MCU fan, that's probably like an oxymoron because they got like 50 things in the pan at once. But especially when you haven't been in the theaters for 6 years, you're trying to gain your audience back. I would have preferred if they were like, okay, we have this Ryan Gosling movie and we have this like Mando event movie we're
Mhm.
working on with Thrawn. I would have focused on just those two for now. See people are vibing it, and oh, they are okay. Then start greenlighting other spin-offs and movies to get themselves back
Yeah,
into it a little bit.
it's warring eras as well. Like, it's interesting to have things all scattered through the timeline, but think about
Yeah,
it. You have,
kind of
now
confusing. Yeah,
Andor coming out, which is in between 3 and 4. You've got all of the Mandoverse with the Mando movie, Ahsoka season 2, and everything
yeah,
else in between that's taking place in between the original trilogy and the sequels. Then you have all of this stuff that's taking place post sequel trilogy, and then we've still got the Dawn of the Jedi movie, which takes place
right.
before everything. Like, it's fun, it's great. I love having all of this stuff, but when we don't necessarily have a rhyme or reason as to
Mm,
why we're jumping around so much in the timeline, it would make sense if, like, oh, maybe a new force ability that's going to be shown off in this Dawn of the Jedi movie is going to be important for, something that we see Ahsoka discover in, the Heir to the Empire movie, and it has to do with the Mortis gods or something like that. I think that would be super cool. But there's no telling that any of these stories are actually connected outside of
mm-hmm,
just being on this rough Star Wars timeline.
sure.
Right.
And
See, I'm
go ahead, Jeff.
again.
Sorry.
I don't want to be a contrarian again, right? But again, I feel the opposite way, right? So, one of the reasons that so one, I applaud you like for your take on Andor, right? Because you're like, it's a great show. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Didn't vibe with it, right? That's what's great about Star Wars, right? Is
Sure.
that they have such um a giant catalog of stuff
Yeah.
that like three people could be stood there looking at completely different things and all be enjoying different things, but still be enjoying Star Wars. Do you know what I mean? Like in different eras, different ways, like between the movies, the shows, the games, like there's in like the comics, like there's so much Star Wars. It's crazy, right? It's like the comics at this point. So I think if they were to um not do a movie after episode 9,
Yeah.
right? I feel that they would be sacrificing any vision or um, any strength or standing that they have, right? And I feel like that would be letting the critics win, right? And I think that they have to go forward with that, but then
I
not
agree.
putting all of their eggs into that basket. They're going to go with the Old Republic, which they have a complete open space with nothing tied to the Skywalker saga or legacy, and that's just complete free reign, right? But then
Yeah.
they also see that Grogu is in almost at least one window along every road in a house on every road. Do you know what I mean? Like there's always a Grogu somewhere. So why give
He's
up
right
your
back
cash
there.
cow? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you, they, it's like they're one of the aliens that they have created, right? It's a
Yeah.
billion-dollar company, um, with a giant sandbit that's designed to hit multiple people at once. Do you know what I mean? Because um, even when the movies come out, you had the specials, you had the toys, you had like everything coming at you from different directions. Do you know what I mean? Like Star Wars is for everybody, so why not try and please everybody at once, especially if you have the means to do so?
I will play devil's advocate and just say if you're trying to please everybody, you're going to please nobody. However,
No, but
I
there's a
do
difference. That's that's
right.
that's not one for one because I'm
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
there's if they're trying to
No,
please
I no,
everybody
I
with a movie, yeah, cool, innit?
right,
Like
right, right, right. No, but I understand your point. Right, it is we have all of these different eras, and the fans pick and choose
'cause
what
it's
they
not just
want,
one
and
person
that's
doing everything either. As much
yeah,
as people would like hate to think otherwise, like oh, like Kathleen Kennedy's just in it, like you know what I mean, put a chick in it
yeah.
and make it gay kind of thing. Um, like there's not all that going on. So like there are people that are off doing their thing. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
So it's not. It's juggling the right amount of balls. Do you know what I mean? It's not trying to please everybody in a
yeah,
way that's going to be detrimental to everything. Because again, like in everything that's been announced, not everything's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like how many, like Ryan Gosling being Ryan Gosling in Star Wars, trying to be Han Solo. Do you know what I mean? Just because he was a younger Harrison Ford in Blade Runner, they think what is going to transfer over that everybody's just going to go, oh, let's just, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
at a certain point, it's just Ryan Gosling in a vest or
Mm.
whatever he's wearing to wear. Do you know what I
See,
mean?
that's interesting. Because I think right now this is easily my most anticipated thing out of their whole roster. Like this is the
Really,
thing where I'm like, I will be there first day.
this is
Yeah.
the thing. Oddly enough, that I have the least interest in. Like, I
Interesting.
love Ryan Gosling,
Same.
but I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck? Star Wars Starfighter? Like, are they making a movie about the old like arcade game or something?
I
But
like this feels very like Skeleton Crew to me, where it's like
okay,
this is kind of what I want from them, where it's like these new, fresh like concepts within the Star Wars universe. See, like I'm kind of opposed to kind of what you were saying, Taz, about like, oh, there's no lightsabers and for. I kind of want them to go away from that a little bit. Like, I don't think every project needs to be a Jedi. I don't think every project needs to be a Force centered. There's a whole galaxy of various different ideas and projects. I think it's kind of cool to just, again, maybe he is a Jedi. We don't know yet. Like, people are saying,
I
oh, since
believe
he's a pilot, he's not a Jedi. I was like,
I believe he is force sensitive.
is he?
If
Okay.
I think so. Or at least there's some force aspect in it. Like I said, is I think it's in some way, shape, or form tied to what the Rey movie's gonna be.
Sure.
But again, this is just everything's scattered around as far as there's so many rumors. Like a
Right.
lot of this stuff for Celebration actually got leaked out before Celebration. So there were quite a few things that
Sure.
I had seen the rumors on. Like remember I think a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, there's like I saw a video. There's a bunch of Star Wars rumors. It came out like at the beginning of the month. There are a bunch of Star Wars rumors, and I was actually very surprised that everything that this video that I had seen hit on was 100% accurate. Ryan Gosling movie, Darth Maul series, details for Ahsoka season 2, like all this stuff hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian and Grogu looking like a filler episode. I know I sound like I'm hearing myself right now. I sound like I'm hating, but I'm not. Like
Sure.
you know me. I love Star Wars. I really really do. It just like I want some real direction, and it's interesting to see them announce all of this stuff after what we saw a couple years ago at Star Wars Celebration, where they announced that whole
Sure.
like Star Wars timeline and like Dawn of the Jedi and all of this stuff, and we've gotten nothing from that. Yet they
Yeah.
announce more projects, and it's like it's the Marvel issue or the DC issue.
Yeah.
It's all of these studios are falling into that same camp. Is they're making big announcements and relying on the hype of like casting big name actors or bringing back old characters and are like, okay, hey guys, remember this thing? We're making a movie about it, or we're making a TV show about it. Like,
I think
that's the
like
What if they've already shown you? What if they're already doing it, right? So what if they're already giving you what you're asking for? We just can't see the bigger picture yet, right? So
I hope so.
what
I
if
hope so.
with the Mandalorian and Grogu series, right? They could be dealing with like the Force in the way that Loki did while they're on their travels, right? Because he's going to understand the mysteries of it, but it's a person that can't bloody talk, right? So you have Pedro Pascal there to help interpret for us,
Yeah.
right? You also have, like we're saying, the stuff about like Mortis and Abeloth and everything else that could be happening in Ahsoka, right?
Yeah.
Which could have ties to like a Dawn of the Jedi situation, right? Where you could see the origin of something happening,
Exactly.
and then everything later on paying off in a later trilogy, where, say, for example, Ahsoka um, dies fighting Abeloth, for instance, which is why she's in the Force, because one Jedi alone, as good as Ahsoka is, who knows how that's gonna go?
Right.
Do you know what I
Right.
mean? So
And
it
maybe
could
like,
come into like a whole bigger thing later.
imagine Ryan Gosling and Grogu hanging out.
I
That'd be fun.
I do want to mention just these two projects and my one big fear with both of them.
Yeah.
Change these dates because these
Oh,
are the same
you're
months
right.
as
Same
Avengers
months as
Doomsday and Secret
Avengers.
Wars.
Yeah, you're right.
We've seen
But
how that works with Solo. It didn't go very well. Like,
Star
Well,
Wars,
that's a completely different thing.
But here's the thing though,
Like,
classic Star Wars was a May release because of May 4th.
yeah,
Like that's when I believe a lot of the prequels released in May.
sure.
But obviously, yes, that was
still,
a different time as far as blockbusters and stuff go. I think Mando and Grogu should be like an October November release, or maybe even a Christmas.
I say Christmas.
I could see a Christmas Day. I could
Yeah.
see like a Christmas Day release or something like that.
Disney does this a lot. Right now, Disney's biggest competitor is themselves. Like, we're seeing that
Yeah,
next
you're right.
month where we have Thunderbolts comes out in a couple weeks. There's no competition until Lilo and Stitch. And it's like, gosh dang it, Disney. Like, if you just you have too many IPs now where it's like you're now sabotaging your own success. Same thing happened last year, which it didn't affect them, but they had like overlapping for Mufasa and Moana 2. It's like those are both hugely successful movies. They could have done better if they weren't running into each other. That's a whole nother conversation. We don't have, we don't have time for all that. Darth Maul, Shadow Lord. This is
I love it.
What is this? A prequel to Star Wars Rebels?
Yeah, so it's a year after the Clone Wars is where it takes place. So it kind of shows a lot of what Maul did post Clone Wars. You've got Darth Talon in there for those of you who know who Darth Talon is. They're taking a lot of elements from George Lucas's original scrapped ideas for what his sequel trilogy was supposed to be and injecting it in this kind of in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope timeline. I'm assuming this is going to run up to where we see him as like, you know, the leader of like Crimson Dawn and stuff like that. Maybe we'll get some ties into some stuff that we never got to see pay off from Solo and all of that as well. I'm just happy to have Sam Witwer back in another Star Wars project.
Is he officially back?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He was at Celebration.
Okay, cool.
He was talking actually. There was one little interview clip where he was talking about Force Unleashed. Somebody asked him about it, and like he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to come back and do another Force Unleashed game or a movie or bring him into live action." He's like, "Dude, I'd shave my head right now. Get Hayden Christensen in here. We're gonna do it." And I was like, "Oh yeah." Dude, Sam Witwer is the pinnacle of Star Wars right now too.
Yeah,
I love this dude.
I haven't even seen him as this character, or like not much as this character, and I love how he talks about Darth Maul, Ronan, if you want to hop in here for a couple minutes and talk about your experience at the celebration, because he was here this weekend,
You,
let me know, buddy.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it, man. I'd love to hear it.
the guy says that if you think Grey Jedi exists in Star Wars, then you don't know Star Wars, right?
That was Freddie Prinze Jr., who played Kanan. Who said that?
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
Whitwer.
No, it was Freddie
pretty-
Prinze. Yeah. No, Sam Witwer.
Sam
Sam Witwer knows his stuff.
Watched like a, yeah,
Sam
no,
Witwer knows his stuff.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know
he
knows
just seems
stuff.
like
Yeah.
the like biggest fan of everything, and like I don't even
He
like
is.
Star Wars, but like, or you know, let me change my words. I'm not even like the biggest Star Wars guy, and like he makes me want to be, right? Just like the like way he talks about Star Wars, like this alone kind of makes me want to finally get caught up on Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that. Like, I know I've said that before. Taz, I've lied to you so many times about this. I said it before Ahsoka. I've said it, you know, for so many other projects.
And we didn't even talk about Ahsoka season 2 is going to be huge. They showed off some concept art of the new actor playing Baylan Skull. They talked about how they got blessing from his family to continue the story of the character, and the actor that's going to be taking over was actually a real life friend of Ray Stevenson, I believe, as well.
Oh, cool.
So it's going to be really cool to see how they continue that. You know, Balin's going to be a huge part of this. Again, Mortis gods, deeper dive into the Force. Hayden Christensen is back for season 2. Ahsoka season 2 is my number 1 most anticipated project.
Wow, okay.
Then Maul is number 2 for sure. And then everything else after that.
Ronan,
Yo.
how are you? How are you feeling?
Oh man, if you want to talk about Last of Us, oof, that's I'm good. How's everybody doing? It's 9 a.m. here for me in Japan.
So you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'll be taking off pretty soon.
Very nice, very nice. How was the whole experience?
Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 was amazing. The beginning half, I was a little worried financially where I was going to be, but it calmed down a bit. But man, between the host of the Japanese people being so respectful, so kind, so understanding for the lack of awareness and attempt to learn the language from an American or I appreciate that. Although I try to be respectful as much as I can back.
Sure.
But yeah, celebration was awesome. I know people will say the lines were chaotic and like the waiting time for merge. I get that, but to me, as someone who does this with the camera and the mic, it was cool to meet up with people that you have either never met or haven't seen in a long time. That was the juicy part about it, and the fact that Busy, Braun, and I met for the first time after knowing each other for almost 3-5 years.
That's so cool.
And we were almost in most of the panels. And again, you guys were talking about Maul. He and I were at the animation one. We're like, oh, we got to see one of the early episodes of Tales of the Underworld. Cool, we'll talk about that later.
That's cool.
And then they're like, what about this? And then, and we, we may not have a recording or a reaction, audio-wise only, but we lost our shit.
That's cool.
Yeah. I saw a little bit of that leaked trailer. It looks insane. It looks insane.
Like the most 4K version of Clone Wars and Bad Batch and Tales of the Jedi animation. It looks 4K.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And y'all, I said this in the panel I was on Sunday. I'm like, y'all, Sigourney fucking Weaver is in Star Wars.
Yeah.
For the New Republic, who's an X-wing veteran. Like that is geek. What's the nerdgasm right there. That is cool.
That makes so much sense as a casting.
Yes, and like that was always my dream of like I wonder if Sigourney Weaver and Carrie Fisher would have made a team up movie badass more than Stallone and Schwarzenegger, who I love as an actor, individuals, but yeah, that was always my dream stuff, and like yeah, that was cool, and I think Darren, you probably seen it already, or maybe Cass, you, but like I was feet away from Pedro Pascal when he's being interviewed, and
that's so cool.
That's
apparently in the
awesome.
stream, you hear someone yelling "Lefty of power," and then responding back to it. That made my weekend right there.
I'll say it, and like no spoilers for The Last of Us, but Pedro Pascal has had one hell of a week through The Last of Us starting up, through the Fantastic Four trailer, through Celebration. Like he is on the top of the world. He is killing this shit. It's crazy to see. It's good for him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll probably stop here for a little bit just because I gotta prep my own stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm glad y'all talking about Star Wars. I think I'm gonna talk about it once I get back. If the jet lag, like,
I bet.
But I'll rewatch the VOD back on y'all.
Appreciate you, my friend. I will see you later.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
All right, bye,
Safe
buddy.
travels.
Thank you.
May the force be with you. Okay. This one had come out, and me and Taz don't watch or hasn't watched Visions yet, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
But this is like a spin-off of Star Wars Visions, right? It's like it's focusing on one of the
I
characters
assumed
among
that this was
show?
just like an episode that they were like a special episode or something like that. I didn't know if it was going to be an actual like.
Oh no! It's
spin-off.
like they said it's like a long-form TV show, like
interesting.
anime. Yeah, it's like a multi-season series.
Okay. Well, then I completely missed that.
Which like
Right.
I don't have thoughts on because I haven't seen that episode, but everyone says it's a great episode. So, how about you, Darth?
Is it the Sabersmith episode? Because that's one of the best ones.
Whoever this is in the photo.
I'm pretty sure she's a daughter of the Sabersmith.
Okay, yeah, then that one.
Yeah, arguably one of the best ones. It's really one of my favorites. There's a sick. I don't want to say anything, but there's a sick bit in there, like a really sick bit. Where you're like, oh man, this is gonna be great. I'm so interested, and then, and you're like, whoa, no way. Like that's the best I can say without spoiling it. Like Taz, you have to start. Like honestly, it's so quick.
I'll watch it. I'll watch
it.
So
quick. Like you're about watching you and everything else. Like it's so quick to get. You can watch like all of these before 1.5.
So our plan is to watch it a little bit closer to the new season coming out.
Yeah, that's
and then
what
we'll kind of have a fresh. Yeah,
we'll maybe we could do like a mini episode just talking about like seasons 1 and 2. Right? There's 2 seasons out.
Yeah. This will be season 3, I believe.
You can literally talk about each episode as
that's Did season 1 and 2 release weekly, or was it like a binge model?
I think it was a binge. I think it dropped all at once.
I
believe.
Dang it! Anthology series.
I think it dropped all at once, just like Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire, I believe.
I wish anthology shows would release weekly because, like, you just simply cannot talk about it as much as you would if it was weekly. Like, I get that they're short and stuff like that, but like. I don't know.
We're gonna always have this argument, right? Because then weekly shows, like think back to Creature Commandos. I was like, oh, this show would have been so much better on a binge, but probably if it had dropped all at once, we'd have been like, oh, this would have been better if it dropped weekly.
I can see that, but I think like these are individual stories, like with like
everything is.
Like when we talked about what if we like talked about the whole season, I was like, well, we didn't talk about it as much as we probably should each individual episode because we had to get through all of them at once, kind of thing. So it's like, I don't know, it's weird. What's that?
Oh, hang on. So there's gonna be 9 episodes in the season 3. There's 9 in 2 and 9 in 1, right? Episode 1, phenomenal. 2's okay. 3's really good. 4's really, really, really good. 5's really, really good. 6 is great. 7, phenomenal. 8, arguably phenomenal. 9. Yep, that one's really, really good. Season 2 started real strong. And then hang on, what's the
I didn't hear much about season 2 when it came out.
I heard nothing. Like
I didn't even realize there was a season 2 until they
season 1
until they announced season 3.
So, okay. Season 2, right? The Screech's Reach. There's episode 1. episode 5, episode 6 was a real strong one. Um, 7. Oh, episode 8 was dark. Oh my God, that was a good one. Oh my God, yeah, season 2 slapped. I don't know what everyone's talking about.
I just heard no. Oh, go ahead, Taz.
No, go ahead.
I just heard no like talk about it. Like season 1 felt like it came out with a bang, and then season 2 was just no. I heard no one talk about it. Yeah.
There's an
I don't know.
episode,
I don't even know
season
when
2
it came out. Like I don't know what was going on at that time. I just didn't hear much about it.
Season 2, episode 4, right, is like one of the most Star Wars animated things
Sick.
that there is.
Nice.
So is 1, 2, right? Because that was a little musical one. And then oh my God, there's like this is why Taz is gonna love it, right? Because there's some really big like mystical stories that like they could literally just snatch out and take into movies, right?
Cool.
And then there's stuff that ties into the universe with like Imperial's sabotage and espionage and stuff like that. And then there's like real small individual character stories that focuses on like 1 to like 5 people. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Nice.
just pinpointed on them. And sometimes it's on Tatooine and like Mos Eisley. And then other times it's on a completely alien planet that we've never been before with aliens we've never seen before. But you still have that whole feeling of I'm just in another little angle of Star Wars. I'm just in another little space part of it, and it's so good.
Nice.
I can't speak strongly enough of it. Like genuinely, especially like considering you were saying like, oh, it's the same entity. You know what I mean? Like how the hell they fucked up What If so bad when they slammed Visions so well. Like they smashed the hell out of it. I can't wait for season 3 enough, honestly. 29th of October, I'm ready.
I still think an actual Star Wars What If would be a fun show to do as well. Like I think there's so many different avenues and different little things that you could change, and just see how the world would play out.
Arguably more than Marvel, or at least like What If. Or
I mean, there's so many different pieces that you could do. Is like, what if Obi-Wan died instead of Qui-Gon? What if Anakin never fell to the dark side? Sure. What if Luke joined Vader on Cloud City? All of these different things. What if Vader killed Palpatine at the end of episode 3? Like, so many different things.
The issue with that is while I agree that would be fun, right? The only result of that is this person's now good or this person's now evil. Like that's it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it would change the whole state of the galaxy, though.
Yes and no, right? Because the consistent thing about Star Wars is that it's a continual war. It is a continual Star Wars. Like even when there is quote unquote rule or like an empire, there's still insurrections, there's still a resistance, there's still rebels, right? They're still always at war. So there is still always a light side, there is always a dark side, there is always like a republic and a giant space in between. Like that cannot change. Like it can only change like visually like a little bit, but like even in like the dark side, right? And in the enemies, you have the stormtrooper helmets, and then like back in the day, like the old Sith helmets, like it's not a lot changing. Do you know what I mean? Like they can only change so much before it isn't Star Wars and it's something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. While we're on the topic of animation, I know we gotta move on. Just one last thing. Not celebration related, but still Star Wars relation, or still Star Wars related. Star Wars Theory dropped a trailer for Vader Episode 2, his fan film, but it's like fully animated. It looks great. It looks really good. Like, think about the animation style from the from like the Knights of the Old Republic cinematics. Like it's that quality of animation. It looks really good. It looks really good.
Like literally, I don't understand, and I say this every time I get a chance. How the hell they don't just make like a whole bunch of those movies? From the Old Republic opening stuff, like the cinematics, is beyond me, right? Because that's the best animated thing anybody's ever done.
Yeah, I'll send you the link in the chat.
I cannot support that, man. I just can't. If that's who I'm
I would
thinking
sit
of.
and watch those. I would. Oh yeah, no, I won't watch that. Right, but like, um,
It looks really
the
good.
the other Star Wars stuff, like I would sit and watch that over anything else. Like if Star Wars just kept bringing that out to a point that like
Yeah.
everything else got washed away, like, and I had to choose that over everything else, I would choose that.
Well, I think it's why like Clone Wars is so popular, obviously, as well. Is like the animation style is really good there. Like it's cartoony, but it got so much better over time. And I think in a lot of ways, animation is one of the best ways to tell Star Wars stories just because you can go crazy with it. And I think in a very similar way to why you like Visions, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh my God. I can't wait. I can't believe you guys are waiting until September. You guys are hurting me. Like
Yeah.
I need to discuss this sooner. Like you're doing yourselves a disservice, right? Because those extra 5 months that you don't have visions in your life and you didn't have visions told to you is 5 months wasted. 5 months hurting yourselves. Do yourselves a service, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do ourselves a service and move on to our official
Yeah, I
shows of
know.
the week.
I'm sorry, too much Star Wars for you.
It's
Forgot
so
what we were doing. I forgot what we were doing. I forgot.
It's okay. No, it's my
I released the
own fault.
reins. I released the
It's-
reins. I'm sorry.
It's fine. That's gonna be our next 4 weeks on here. Is oh no, three episodes of Andor a week. I'm
Oh, God.
screwed.
I
But-
probably won't have much to say on that topic, but let's.
Oh no. Oh no.
It'll be
Well,
everything else.
I have a lot to say on this week's Doctor Who episode 2 of
Yes.
the season. I talked a little bit about episode 1 last week with Taz, as Taz entertained my we went on a tangent on like, wait, Doctor Who was on Disney XD back in the day.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I just like randomly picked that piece of lore out of my brain and was like, oh yeah,
I
that was a
like,
thing.
what the hell?
Yeah.
But no, new season. Obviously, me and Darth, we covered season 1 or season 14, whatever you want to call it. And now Ncuti's Doctor is back with this new season. How are you feeling on this season in general? And then we can go into more specific episode 2 talks.
Really good. Really good. I love a companion that he has to work to get, right? Because
Sure.
everybody, including myself, would be throwing themselves at the man saying, my God, take me with you.
Right.
But she raised a good point. You know what I mean? Like in episode 1, when he is there like scanning her and doing this and this and this, like she is, as much as he would like he was just using her as a thing. Do you know what I mean? There was no like, as much as he's like tries to save everybody in his hubris, he does act like people are lesser than. You know what I mean? Because he didn't even ask for consent, you know, like she said. So it's interesting to see him be challenged, and in such a way by somebody who knows like ethics well because of her job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So has like a better understanding of maybe than a person not employed in such fashion might be.
100% agree. Yeah, like I thought like last episode honestly wasn't, like first episode wasn't one of my favorites, I'll be honest, because I just thought there was a lot of things going on, a lot of things I had to do that they didn't quite wrap up in my opinion. But I did think she was the highlight. And I thought, like, despite me wanting a little bit more focus on her as a character with this being her introduction, I thought that final stuff of her being like, no, I'm not gonna go, take me home. What are you talking about? Yeah, I thousands away from home. I have a job, I have a family. Take me back. You stole my DNA. That's not a cool thing to do. And I think he is so disattached from reality sometimes, right? He's not in one place for that long of a time that often. So I think sometimes he just gets so swept up into what he's doing and into his routine that from the POV of someone who just met him, who doesn't trust him yet, who just got kidnapped from her home and being threatened by robot, like she's not into this world yet, right? And so I think from her POV, it's like I don't know you. You could be a villain. You could be someone who just trying to kidnap. I don't know. So just take me home. And obviously, the certain parts of the internet was like, oh, they're going anti. Well, all the blah blah blah. You going with her. When you have like a powerful female character like her, right? But I was like, I think that's going to put her apart from a lot of the other companions that are just like, take
what's funny?
me away, Doctor.
This is exactly the conversation Taz and I were having a moment ago, right? Because for me, the conversation you and I having is exactly what Donna Noble was.
Yeah.
A
She's
strong,
very
confident
Donna coded
woman who said no, right? Donna said no to
Yeah,
going
she
with
did.
the doctor. She jumped back at the chance because she hated her life afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But this is beat for beat Donna Noble's story.
Yeah.
Just more condensed because there's no gap in between.
It feels like a mix of Donna and Martha a little bit. Like it feels like those two childs has had like a brain child. And
I feel
I
like
think
I'm missing out on so much though, right?
Yeah.
Because I've watched like a chunk more than you have, right?
Oh,
But
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm still missing a lot,
So much,
right?
yeah.
Because not only are we dealing with like the forces of the universe,
The gods, yeah.
which I love that we're dealing with that, right? And it makes sense because like how much bigger can you go when you see like stuff that David Tennant and Matt Smith were doing, right? But like there's also like stuff like who the hell is that old lady?
We still don't know. We still
Like-
don't know. Like she was introduced in last season and they're building her up. What is it? Mrs. Oh, what's her
I
name?
don't know.
Mrs. I'll look it up. But like, yeah, like what is the deal with her?
As well, right? We got two companions,
Mrs.
Ruby
Flood.
Sunday, right? Mrs. Flood, that's interesting. Ruby Sunday was last season, right?
Mhm.
Now we got Belinda Chandra, right? But her last season, her descendant was
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
Right? And like how
Do we
are they
believe
so
that though?
connected? What, you think it's the same person?
I'm wondering if that will be the twist. That it's
I
her
am too.
in the future. Yeah.
I am too, right? Because as well, how the hell did he fix the time fracture? Because that's another thing, there's so many questions that like nothing got answered.
Oh, from the whole like Ruby thing.
No, because like there was a time fracture over Miss Belinda Chandra planet, right?
Oh yeah. Like a lot of that didn't
time
make
fracture caused all of this, and then he just fixed it on the way out, just a snap of his fingers.
A lot of that didn't make sense to me. Like I get what they were doing, but they did not have enough time to fully flesh out what exactly that was. You know what I mean? It was like they did this whole like chicken and the egg thing where it's like, oh, this happened for this can happen for this can happen, but I feel like they don't quite like explain what that is exactly and how like those further steps to get there.
Another way that this is like Donna's story, right, is in this. Hello. In Donna's story, he was without a companion because he just got rid of Rose, right?
Right.
In this story, he's just got rid of Ruby and was working on befriending and championing a new companion, who then died during the mission.
Yeah, and
okay,
again, like that,
Thank
that leads into like the flaws of the Doctor, because I think she sees right through that charade, and like I don't think he means anything by it. Like he's genuinely just trying to find friends, right? But it's like you were so close to bringing this new person on, to befriending this new companion. The second she dies, he's moving on to this new girl. I was like, well, you come with me. It's like, yeah, but what if that happens to me? Are you gonna move on from me the seconds after I die? You know what I mean? So it's like that's a valid feeling. You know what I mean? And he moves on from companions so quickly, and that's not his fault, right? Like they do leave him. That's okay. Yeah, it's very
He's
interesting.
grieving with one, moving on with the other one.
Yeah, and I do like that this is a companion that challenges him a little bit, that pushes him to feel thoughts and feelings he hasn't felt before. We saw a little bit of that in this week's episode, which I don't know how you feel, but I legitimately think this might be one among my favorites of Doctor Who thus far.
This week,
I really loved this week's episode. I had such a good time. It felt so creatively fun. Very similarly to the Harbinger episode we had last season with I forget her name, but the god of music that we had right last season, which was terrifying and scary. And I felt like we had the element of like terrorizing and scary and imaginative, but also so much fun, and how they explored the medium of animation, which I haven't seen Doctor Who ever do before. But also the show's lore and its fandom and everything like revolved around that was so cool.
Also didn't explain like how that projectionist wife turned up with a box of matches.
There's
there's just a lot that's not being explained here. But when it's turning into British Reacher, because you got to like just turn your brain off while you're watching it, and then when you sat there watching it, you're like, this thing's great. I love this thing. I can't not watch this thing without tearing up.
I think that might
picking it apart.
I think that might be my biggest criticism from these last two seasons of the show, because I'm loving the show. I love Shooty. I think he's fantastic, right? But I do feel like with a lot of these stories, I think they're biting off more than they can chew with a lot of these, right? They are doing these hugely really cool stories, and they're pushing the boundaries of like how we feel about these characters, but they never quite have enough time to fully flesh them out in the way I think they should. And I think this episode did a better job at that than last week's episode. But even then, it's like, okay, how did that projector work? Why did the blue moon work the way it did? And like, they have that line in the episode of like, he's like, how did this happen? He was like, I'm 2D, just don't think about it. I'm like, I don't like that. I like to think about it. I feel like the fun of Doctor Who is you are supposed to analyze it a little bit to see what crazy mischief this episode is. That being said, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Do you know what's really funny is they definitely correctly referenced the fact that it was very Scooby-Doo-esque.
Yeah.
And then when that mother's there at the diner and she's like, oh, my baby, right? I was expecting it to be the little kid. And it's like, no, it's a teenager that is working on his own mustache at this point. I mean, and then the kid just runs out to a different mother.
Yeah.
Like, why was no one talking to that mother? I think she would have been grieving just as much. Like, it's crazy. It was so weird. It was such a turn. Mm-hmm. I'm incredibly proud of them for approaching the segregation and racial issue the way that they did.
I was going to bring that up.
It was done with it was done well. Do you know what I mean? It was because it had so many elements to it, with her trying to change and stand up for things, and then him saying it was a different time. You know what I mean? You're literally just stepped out of a time machine. We're not. It's nothing to be proud of. It's just something that has happened.
We can't do anything about it in this time period. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm waiting for you guys to change, because I know you can. I mean, I'm not forcing a change.
That was such a good line. That was like what I loved about Shooty, is like his power to inspire the way he does. Like, he's so good in that. And I agree. Like, I was very curious when I heard they're going to like the 1950s, because we didn't do a lot of like in the past episodes last season. Like, we did a couple, but none of them were like super focused on that kind of stuff. So when they did go to the past, it's kind of interesting, because they deal with the race stuff last season, but it was another planet, and it was kind of like in the future, and that ended up being one of my favorite episodes with how they handled that situation. And I think it's very interesting with when you're adapting these stories for like television shows. Like, you have shows like Stranger Things and like Bridgerton, which have actively decided, hey, we're not going to address why we have indigenous actors in our movies and TV shows, right? Like we're just not going to address that for we can cast these people, which I think is great for them, right? But I think when you are having a show like Doctor Who, which has dealt with those issues in the past and past stories with companions and various other things, I think when you do have a black doctor on your hands, and even in some ways like a gay doctor as well, I wonder if that's ever something they'll ever fully dive into and stuff like that. It's like you have to, I think, at least address it. And I think this was a good episode of like they address it. It's a part of the episode, but they don't bang you over the head with it either. Like I think it's the perfect amount. And obviously people still had a fit about it, like the Who fandom does, right? But like I thought it was done with so much grace and wonder, and I really enjoyed that.
Because it was still very haunting. Because when you sit and think about the reality of what they're saying, was disgusting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so none of it is lost. It's just
sure.
It was done in a way that it didn't detract from their performance. Do you know what I mean? Because if it turned into like a, not for lack of a better word, but basically a documentary on why it was bad, then it stopped them doing what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. Like
they handled it in the right way.
Agreed. And like this isn't something I want in every Doctor Who episode every time they go to the past, right? Like this is not something I want them to always mention. But I do think just having these little hints of it, like just like a little line of dialogue of like, oh, maybe it's good. It's 4 a.m. and no one's here, right? Like maybe that's for the best, unfortunately. And like I thought it was like a good, like proper first mission for Belinda. Like she gets invested, she gets in, like, and I think part of that is kind of surrounded by that stuff for sure. I want to talk about our main villain, and his name was Lux, right? That was his name. That was a little, I don't know who played this. Okay,
right?
Go ahead.
Because he called himself like he called himself a harbinger.
He's a harbinger, yeah.
Which is like a herald, right? A precursor to the actual thing, from what my understanding was, or they all harbingers of.
I think they're all harbingers, right? Like they're all kind of part of this, like. It's tough because we didn't see the first part that they were kind of introduced, which was what, like Toy Master or Toy Maker or whatever. That was in like the David Tennant specials that we didn't check out, right? But like, I think they're all gods.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So So this is the thing, right? So basically, in my head, like the harbinger would be the Silver Surfer, right?
Which is how it normally is. Yeah.
Doom would be the Galactus, right? So what could be happening is that the Silver Surfer and Galactus could be that they are both gods and harbingers, but something bigger and badder that made them. Because we also, I mean, like the whole reason I can't like jibe with religion is because I can't comprehend who created a creator. Do you know what I mean? And then if that, who created that creator, then who created the creator?
Sure.
I mean, like, how do you get is and was? I mean, it's crazy, right? So, in that instance, it could be that they're all like precursors, but also her children, so they would have some like power. Do you know what I mean, like death and light and this and this? But it could be that goddamn weird old lady.
I'm wondering. I like at this point I'm thinking she has to be a god or something like among those lines, because we've been building this up for
us.
Maybe. And you I don't know if you've picked up on this. They keep talking about May 23rd, right? Like they're building up the May 23rd date. That's like the we see the Earth kind of blow up or whatever in the first episode. You know what May 23rd is? The finale. The date that the finale airs.
Ooh.
Isn't that really sick? So it's like we're getting like an out of universe.
But she left on when? May 25th? Or April 25th? So. We have to go back and check, right? Because she left in the future. And we're catching up to her in the present. So the finale that we're watching will all coincide on the same time. That's trippy. That's kind of cool. I like that.
No, yeah, like yeah, I think because like I think they did kind of something similar last season, but it's cool that we're like counting down in universe to the finale. Like something's happening in that finale, and I hope it's not underwhelming because I did kind of find the like I liked the finale last season, but I did feel like the ultimate like narrative that it was like, oh, she's special because she's not special kind of thing, being a little underwhelming for me, but. No, I loved him as a villain. I thought he was fantastic. He's scary. He's frightening. This felt like an episode that was like, oh, we have some of that Disney money now. Let's spend a little bit of it. Like that's what this felt like to me. Like, oh, what have we never done? Animated episodes. And I think the way that you send them into that like animated world and you kind of explore the mediums of that. There's that fantastic scene where they have to be vulnerable with each other to become more three-dimensional. That's fun. That's great. I felt like that was a great bonding moment between those two characters that I was kind of craving a little bit of last week of just him being like, I am scared that whatever is happening in the world, that's on me. And like, I didn't tell you about the whole Gallifrey stuff. I didn't mention that to you. I was kind of hiding that bit of it. Like, I liked that piece of vulnerability from both of their characters quite a lot. And just they had so much fun with like the medium of like animation. They're like pulling down the like frames per second as they go through, and then they have to like there's that huge wall breaking bit of the episode where they're like looking right at the audience and being like, these guys look weird. They're punching through the glass, and then like them talking to the actual Doctor Who fans who are watching the episode. That's so much fun.
That was so cool. Right, especially because they did a fake out, right? Because I thought, oh, wait, this is like we're going like She-Hulk kind of Deadpool-y kind of thing here, and I was like, uh-oh, like this
I was
not
like, this could cause issues, right? Like this should canonically cause some
should
issues.
not be that. This cannot be that, right? So I'm so happy it was a fake out because I think I would have had a real problem with that.
I kind of agree with that, yeah. And they made me so emotional over these three characters so quickly. Like, they endeared me to them. And maybe it's because it's kind of supposed to be us, the audience, right? Like, maybe that's why. But, like, I recently, again, like I told you, I recently watched, I finished season 5. And that Christmas special, the like Christmas Carol episode. That was the whole reason I started Doctor Who in the first place, was because there was that quote from Matt Smith's Doctor at the start of that special where like he comes out and he's like, the Scrooge guy's like, don't worry about her, she's not important. And Matt Smith's like, that's crazy. She's not important. In all my years that I've been living, in all my years that I've been doing this, I have never met someone that's not important. And I kind of felt that a little bit this episode when there's like, it's okay, Doctor, we don't matter. And there's that look in his face of like, yes, you do. It doesn't matter if you were just born. You are important. And like that was choking me up. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. Like that to me is kind of what the Doctor's all about. Is like, no matter if you're an alien or if you're a robot or you're human or you're fake, like you still matter. Like I thought that scene was so important. I thought that was so cool.
Do you know what's funny? Right. Is the meta joke that like, oh, what's your favorite adventure? Oh, blink.
That was so good.
Blink.
Because everyone thinks,
the funny thing is as much as that stays in your head because it's like, don't move, don't blink.
Yeah.
Like, the interesting thing about the episode is like it's the same with the Absorbaloff episode, and that the Doctor is barely in it. Do you know what I mean? Like he's barely in it. It's barely a Doctor Who episode. It's a side quest episode.
And it makes sense why he's so offended that that's people's favorite, because he's not in the episode really. Like he's like, that one? Really? What about all of the cool shit that I've done?
Like David Tennant's last episode. Like the whole jumping from like the helicopter or the Zeppelin or whatever they were on, like when he crashed through the roof and then he's there like with the gun and everything, and then like he saves the day and then you just hear Wilfred goddamn Mott just knocking 4 times on that glass and you're like, oh, like the payoff of that. I think that's one of my favorite episodes, as much as it's like the heartbreaking one. The
I was
Titanic
gonna
episode,
ask like if you have like a favorite episode.
David Tennant's Titanic episode with Kylie
That's
Minogue,
good. That one's really, really, really good. Yeah.
really good. Matt Smith, here, The Angels Take Manhattan, heartbreaking, heartbreaking. I wonder how much he's in that one. Like the one where he's talking to that god that's just basically like a big black hole.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've got there yet. Oh, okay.
Doesn't sound familiar, but there's been so many at this point. Maybe.
It looks like a big yellow star that he's talking to, and it's just him and this star, and they're like having a back and forth, and it's one of Matt Smith's greatest speeches.
Amazing. I'm excited to
Yeah.
get to it. I mean, Blink is up there for sure. Just in terms of a concept, it's such a cool little like one-off story. Like that's fantastic. There was the fireplace episode is up there for me as well. The one with like the princess.
Yes,
That one's really good.
Me Antoinette. Yeah.
Yeah. And then recently in my newest season I watched, there's the Vincent Van Gogh episode.
Oh, that is beautiful. Yeah.
Killed me. Like I came to tears. I did. Like that that might be my new favorite episode recently. Just like this idea
I forgot
that
about that one.
they take him to present day, and you know the doctor's like, by the way, like how do you truly feel about this artist? And he's like, well, he's the like single greatest artist of all time. He's done this and this and this and this and this, and he is seeing the physical impact of his life's work before his eyes. And like they're like, oh my gosh, it's like this means he won't kill himself. And I think that heartbreaking of like, oh, even that can't stop something like that. Like it kind of broke me a little bit. I was like, this is incredible. Like this is crazy. I mean, how about you, Taz? Do you have a favorite Doctor Who episode?
I've wanted the TARDIS blowing up picture for so long since then. Like, and that's where like all the Doctor Who like Van Gogh stuff comes from.
How about you, Taz? Do you have a favorite?
I don't really remember any specific episode, to be honest. Like, I again,
I've seen hundreds.
All I know is again the Disney commercials. How about that? So I'll say my favorite episode is the Doctor Who Disney XD ad. Lock it in. Final answer.
Amazing. Yeah, no, this is
Matt Smith with oh my god, he had that whole Who Shot Me mystery. That was really cool. Like the payoff of that was good. Then he had that whole the paradox thing, like the prison that they built for like the most dangerous thing in the universe, and it turns out it's for him. That was incredible. Matt Smith has some really good episodes.
Sure.
Really good episodes. David Tennant as well. Christopher Eccleston had a good run, as short as it was. And Peter Capaldi was good. I've only just recently learned how much of a fan Peter Capaldi is of Doctor Who, like beforehand. Yeah. Crazy.
Oh wow.
Crazy.
All I remember is when Doctor Who was terrorizing Jessica Jones, and that's about it.
Great season.
Oh yeah.
Great. Oh, Purple Man is so arguably his best role. Like as good as he has it as the Doctor, as good as he is, because he's great as the Doctor. Purple Man's insane.
Yeah. I guess technically also, speaking of Doctor Who, do we remember the rumor, leak, speculation theory that Matt Smith was playing a younger version of Palpatine at one point? Let's bring it full circle.
Oh no.
That was a rumor before Rise of Skywalker came out, that he was in that movie as a young Palpatine, but apparently he got cut. So
thank God.
The more you know.
Interesting.
The less you want to know.
Yeah. Somehow Palpatine still returned.
Alrighty.
Like, thank God, like Matt Smith wasn't tarred with that horrible brush. Do you know what I mean? And like now he gets to come in of his own power. Do you know what I mean? And it won't be unlimited, but he'll be able to like hopefully carve out his own character. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
As opposed to having to adopt a legacy of something. Because like think about it, everyone was wanting um not Plagueis, what's his the Snoke.
Palpatine?
Everyone was wanting
Oh,
Snoke to
Snoke.
be like his own thing. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's like some dodgy clones of Palpatine. So like the
Yeah.
fact that like they were gonna go that route, I'm glad he dodged that bullet. Like good for
Yeah.
him.
I'm going to nip it in the bud now before we
Yeah.
go down another rabbit hole. Daredevil Again season finale. The final episode until March of next year, because they've already said the
Yeah.
next season will be next March, which isn't that sick? Like we can have a whole year from now, just 1 year wait, no year and a half, no 2 years, just. And they had said, I don't know if you saw this, as they said that they want to put one out every year. They said
Yes,
that
I
they
did see that.
They have no what's the
No
word?
signs
Like,
of
no
stopping.
they
Yeah.
said they have many more stories to tell. That's exciting to me.
Very
Just-
similar to what they said about Dexter Resurrection, is that they have multiple seasons planned, which is very exciting as well.
Right.
But
So my issue with sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Just my issue with that, right, is before we get into everything, is I could fully feel that this was half of the season.
That's exactly what I was about to say. That's
100%.
exactly what I was about to say. Is it severely suffered from this season finale? Felt like a mid-season finale syndrome.
To me, it felt like an epilogue. Like, it felt like the season kind of ended episode 7. They're like, this is what we had made of the stuff. That's it, I guess. And then they're like, oh, but look at this new stuff we have, which is great new stuff. Fantastic final 2 episodes.
To me, the season felt like 3 episodes. Episode 1, Episode 7, Episode 8. And those were the episodes made by the new crew. Those were the creatives behind The Punisher, that they brought in to help fix the show after they decided to scrap the 18 episode idea. And then episodes 2 through 6 were those products of the original version of the show, which is very much so felt. And then kind of trying to mash them both together, and you kind of have this really, really strong start with episode 1, and then this not necessarily dip in quality, but deviation of storyline for that big middle chunk of the season. And then you try to tie it back to where everything began in episode 7, but it feels like too little too late.
Yeah.
You know, it just like we don't have enough time to be like, oh, okay, there's some conspiracy behind Foggy's death. Let's kind of investigate this a little bit further. Okay, we'll bring Punisher back to the mix. We'll bring Karen back to the mix. Okay, now it's finally starting to feel like classic Daredevil again. And, Vanessa's the one that hired Bullseye to kill Foggy, and all of these other like great elements from these last couple of episodes. But again, it's too little too late. Nothing gets enough time to actually fully develop. Very similar to a lot of the storylines earlier in the season. White Tiger was in all of 2 episodes. Muse got very little time to actually develop. We went all in depth and detail about it last week, but it just it felt weird. Like I really, really, really wanted to love this season, and I still think it's one of the better Marvel Disney Plus shows, but I think in my mind I would still rank the likes of WandaVision, Hawkeye, maybe even Loki above this, just as a better, more cohesive, coherent story.
We talked about it last week, and I think this episode really rang true. I loved every single episode this season, maybe outside of episode 2 and episode 7. Like I think those ones were a little rough, but for the most part, I enjoyed every singular episode. And we talked about this. They don't work in unison. They are great by themselves. They don't work as a unit, in my opinion.
Because they don't feel attached to they don't feel attached to the Netflix Daredevil, and it makes sense. Is because
They're not.
I did a little bit more research on kind of what that original version of the show was. Apparently, season 1 of Daredevil was supposed to be the only thing that was canon from Netflix, and season 2 and 3 in this new version of the show's mind didn't happen. And that was the show that they had for that was going to be that full 18 episode season. But then when they brought in the additional creatives, the old team, brought back the old actress for Vanessa, all of that stuff, then they were like, okay, no, we know what the fans want. Even our actors are saying like, hey, like there's a little bit of a problem here.
Right.
And then they actually tried to, play damage control. They did the best with what they had. It was kind of like, all right, last minute, we've got to scrounge together all of the footage that we have, make a somewhat, coherent storyline, but plant the seeds for a much better story in season 2. And I think season 2 is going to really be the tell here is, does Daredevil work in the Disney Plus formula?
Sure.
Or are they no longer able to recapture that magic of the original Netflix series? Is it too far gone?
I think they did. Like, I think those final 2 are excellent.
I do too. I think
they're fantastic.
I think the final 2 are really good. And episode 1, like I said, episode 1, 8, 9. Those are the standouts of the series. And I wish that the whole show was more like those 3.
See, I don't love season 1 as much. Like, I think season 1 is episode 1 I think is one of the weaker ones. Because it's blending. Like, I think like some of that was really great, but some of it feels a little off, and it's because they were merging those episodes, which again is not their fault. But like there is a like that first 8 minutes, and then like the rest feels a little wonky to me because it's
you're right. They do
together.
Feel like two different premieres, or they turned like a middle of the season episode into a premiere episode or something like that. Yeah, I definitely get that. How many
episodes were there supposed to be before they changed?
18
yeah,
episodes.
But they were like 30
like,
to 40-minute episodes, I think.
How far were they done?
They had made 6 episodes.
Yeah.
That's it? 6, and they were like, all right, this is baggage.
Yeah, they had filmed 6 episodes, and then they used that 6-episode footage and what they needed to film next. Like they had reshot a bunch of stuff to fit that narrative that they didn't quite get done, and then the episodes 1, 8, and 9 stuff.
Okay.
I mean, how are you feeling, Darth? Someone again who hadn't like.
I'm feeling that like as much as there was a ramp up, like I don't know if it's because like I was misunderstanding what happened before. But it just felt like half of the story. Do you know what I mean? Like we literally got to the climax.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Do you know what I mean? Like he literally walked up to the end of what was happening, the whole journey. Like this is it. Do you know what I mean? Where you're expecting the big 80s, 90s, like you know what I mean? Fireworks going off and everything. Just the Wilhelm scream and everything. And then he's like, "You're right. We need an army." Do you know what I mean? Like, I was still expecting like a reveal of like BB's army, of like him just having like a whole bunch of New Yorkers going, "Look what he's doing!" You know, like just something.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
And then just nothing happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh right. So now they're trying to tell the stories that they were trying to tell before. So like season 2 finale is going to be twice as good as this because that's the actual finale. Do you know what I mean? Like I just feel like
they're taking 2 seasons to tell 1 season's worth of story.
Yeah.
And as bad as it would have been financially for them, I think we can clearly see the better. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's clearly the choice
Ideally,
that should
that's
have been made.
Done. Yeah, but
I just don't know, like logistically, financially, how they could have done that. But like, I don't know. To me, so okay, I guess from your perspective, right? So say you're sitting down, you're recording a video. You get like maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes into it. You're kind of listening back to it as you're doing it. You get to that point and you're like, all right, this is not at all what I wanted. I kind of went off on a tangent. This isn't the video that I had in mind.
Sure.
Do you scrap the whole thing, or do you save parts of it, go back to the beginning, re-record it, and see where you can fit that old footage in? For me,
100%. 100%. Like that's the ideal. Like in a perfect world, you could just be like, oh, let's try it again. But when you're running a company, right? Like Kevin Feige, I bet Kevin Feige would have loved to just be like, restart, have fun, do what you want with it. Financially, I get it. And like to the point where
6 episodes is like you filmed a movie, basically.
Yeah. And like this is one of the like very, very rare seasons of TV where I almost want to go, wow, so we can address the problems. Wow, yes, we can talk about what didn't work. I'm almost willing to give it like a pass because I knew what they had to work with. Like I could be like, okay, I didn't love this season as much as I wanted it to, but I know they're going to come in swinging next season. And then next season will be the one I'm like, okay, you get a second shot in my book to make this work. I'm not going to hold this against you going forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like you said,
we've got, it's just that we've got like the big lull again. You know what I mean? Because it's not just going to be charging straight in. We're going to have like a whole investigative like thing, and then repatriating or whatever you ever say it, like basically making that America again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just like
no, that's fine.
I'm worried about how the next season's gonna start, right? Because
what's the template? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the next season starts with the Punisher special. From what I understand, is that
I think it ends with it, doesn't it?
No, so I saw a tweet last week that, again, not necessarily like it's 100% confirmed because I saw it on Twitter, but from what I saw is it makes sense, at least in my mind, is that it's Punisher special, and that Punisher special is him breaking out of Fisk's prison.
Well, he did,
and
yeah, he's already out, ish.
Outish.
Yeah.
I assume that, but like he got out at the end. At the end there.
I don't know. I guess it's up for interpretation, but like I get, at least in my mind, it would be like the full breakout and maybe him like maybe assembling his own team or something like that. Or
I think it makes sense if that's first though. Like I actually kind of like that idea.
Yeah, just like the fallout of it, and maybe it's him like cleaning up the.
Too seriously.
What was that?
Like they take it. Do you not think that they take the show us, don't tell us too seriously? Because like that post-credit scene was enough. Do you know what I mean? And then him coming in to this story, I don't need a Frank special for exposition.
Yeah, I think he's already out.
I get that. I
think he's out, but like I think he has to deal with the consequences of this new Fisk City. Like I think this is a story about like dealing with these cops, like how are they feeling dealing with a city that's under fire, that's under siege. Vigilantes are being attacked and brutally put in cages. I think this is a very interesting spot to put him in. Like last time we saw Frank and Fisk, he said, this is a spoiler for Darth, I'm so sorry, but like there's a line where it's like, next time I see you, I will kill you, and it's like I look forward to it, right? Like there's a tension between those two characters, and like even in this episode, he's like, why didn't you kill that man? Like, why did you save him? Why would you save this monster? And it's like I don't know, like I didn't mean to.
Yeah, but again, like that's all stuff that could be handled in and making Daredevil better. You mean to give him a whole spin-off of 6 episodes in a show that we're sitting here talking about the quality of it and lack thereof in some episodes? Why not just beef out what you're doing and keep up the tension, keep driving up a hill and ramping it up, as opposed to just speed bumping every now and then. Like we're getting like a procedural thing in between that's just like super slow and just
so okay. If the Frank special happens in between seasons, it would make sense as I believe his storyline with like the Punisher cops and everything like that was supposed to be a bit larger in that original version of the show. There was some stuff in there that John Bernthal, I believe, didn't like.
Yeah,
he didn't like that
didn't
story
sign
at all,
on.
and he didn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to do it. So I feel like maybe this is their attempt to kind of rectify that and do it differently, do it better, because obviously he still has to clean up those like corrupt Punisher, like, you know, fanatics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like part Prison Break, part Punisher taking out the trash, part maybe he's the one who finds out that Foggy's not dead.
Question. Well, he's definitely dead. He got popped a few times. He's dead, right? But here's the thing. Right? Sorry, a quick question before we like. Have Karen and Punisher done it yet? Like, because they had some post.
They've kissed.
We've done it.
They've
energy.
Kissed.
That's it. They had some
that we've seen. It's been 5 years since we've seen
even
them.
Daredevil said it. Do you know what I mean? Like, even Daredevil's like, oh well, there's clearly something here, right? Because my whole thing is if Punisher goes off on a whole spin-off, right?
Yeah.
He didn't give a shit until Karen picked up the phone.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Karen says, "Hey, this is bullshit." No.
Did you
Another
see the TikTok that I posted, Taz, about the like Monster House audio?
Yeah.
That's like, this is a terrible idea. I won't do this.
I won't do this. I think Karen's like,
I like it. All right, I'm in. Let's go. Like,
yeah.
Right. And the other thing is the fact that they were completely romanticizing the whole Foggy and Daredevil stuff. Like, let us not forget, at the start of episode 1, he literally was like, yeah, I didn't want to give you an excuse to put the suit on because I know you're dangerous, right? That guy was trying to cold turkey the man. He weren't sitting again, he accepted your darkness, he accepted your light.
There's some more nuance to that. Like, that is something
dangerous. It's that he doesn't want to put his friend back on the wagon. Like, he doesn't want to encourage that behavior.
No.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't want to give you an excuse, right?
Yeah.
To me, in the context of him just straight pummeling a man to a point of a bloody pulp and then throwing him headfirst off of a roof, that's him saying, and especially because his whole thing is, I was struggling not to kill. I was struggling with my rage and this and this and this. So yeah, Foggy, like, there is no like gray area for me. Like, that's Foggy saying, I didn't want to give you an excuse to put on some gloves and just straight back.
Oh, 100%. Foggy doesn't like Daredevil. Foggy is 100% against Daredevil. Like,
what the hell was Karen's little speech about?
But this brings up the point too of, there's a lot of rehashing going on throughout this series. A lot of repeated storylines that we've already addressed
especially with Fisk.
In previous storylines. A lot of the same stuff with Fisk. A lot of the same moral dilemma with Matt of like, oh, can I balance the life between Matt Murdock and Daredevil? Is Daredevil actually a force for good or not? Like, you know, there's this fine line between, do I kill people? Do I not kill people? Like, do I work with Frank Castle, the Punisher, because he kills people, but I don't like to kill people? Like, you know, what's the moral dilemma there? And then the whole thing, like you said, with Foggy, like Foggy not being a fan of Matt being Daredevil. But I feel like, again, I haven't seen the show in like 5 years at this point, probably. But like, I feel like they came to an agreement. Am I wrong? Like, sort of like a mutual understanding at one point or another.
On air, not on this one.
But that's what I'm saying. And like, back into this show now, then we're like, all right, no, like, Matt, you shouldn't be Daredevil, like, and all of these things. So it's so weird. Like, I just don't even necessarily know how to articulate it. Like, I keep going back and forth between, I love Daredevil. Like, I love the original 3 seasons. I even find things to really enjoy about Defenders. I came into this show, and then those first couple of episodes, I was like, okay, like, I'm invested. Like, it's not quite the same quality as a Netflix show. I wasn't necessarily expecting it. But it's close. It's almost there. It's like a, it's a diet soda. Like, it doesn't taste like a full sugar soda, but it's like it gives you the, the same kind of, taste and everything. But the deeper we got into the show, the further removed it was and the more watered down it was from the original show. Yes, they did things like, throw in some hyperviolence, drop a couple F-bombs here and there, but again, it still wasn't the same show that I remember.
Sure.
And then they pull a complete 180 at the end of it and start bringing us right in. It starts picking back up. It's got the the deeper themes and undertones, and it brings back the fan favorite characters, and it pushes a lot of
what
those.
The season was setting up in the first place.
Exactly. It's like just when some of those like original side characters started getting fun and interesting, like they do really weird things with them. Like, is it just me, or did Heather become super unlikable by the end of it? Like, I guess that's kind of the point. And like, she just goes and joins Fisk. Like,
I don't think she did.
Yeah, she did.
I don't think she did. I don't think she really did. Like, I don't think she's.
It will be my honor.
I think her mindset was, dang, Matt almost died. He woke up and thought I was some other girl. Like, forget that.
I didn't read that scene like that, because Lance said the same thing. Me and him had like an argument about this.
Yeah.
I don't think that she has fully drinking the Kool-Aid. I think that she's kind of in the middle. I think she's like, well, I agree with some of his politics. I don't like vigilantes. I don't like them. But also, I think Matt's at the back of her head of like, this guy's dangerous. Let me see why. Let me get inside of the system itself, and let me make my own decision on how I feel. And if things go south, I can go to Matt and be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what. Maybe I'm reading that wrong.
She's going to become Muse Muse 2.
I will say, right, I don't think she's going in blind, right? Because the second that he said,
no pun intended,
I want to offer you a job, right? Like, you could see, like,
there was a look on her face of like,
there was like siren,
yeah,
right?
Like,
he said this
shock
happen,
and
right?
yeah.
But I also feel like you were saying that she wants to be vindicated. So I like, and it would be stupid of her to not accept this position. Do you know what I mean? Financially, and
I think she's stepping in with one foot behind her. Like, I think she's like,
sleep with one eye open.
Will that be too late? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that could be too late. It's like not only just for the relationship with Matt, which it probably will be, but as beneficial as the job would be or should be, depending on how she plays it, it could be the end of her. I mean, so is it really worth it?
Could be. I gotta say, I don't think it is. I can't. I don't remember what side we ended on last week, Taz, but like you cannot make her Muse at this point. I'm sorry. There's so many hoops you have to jump through.
No, unless it's like some weird, some weird alternate vision, right? Like, Matt has like some nightmare, basically, like, oh, she's working for Fisk, like, that kind of like worst case scenario type of thing.
You would have to push her down like a pot of acid. You would have to fundamentally change who she is to even somewhat make that work, and that's so comic booky. Like, too comic booky for the show. You know what I mean? Yeah, like,
it is. It is.
At
that point, they might as well do again. Muse comes back from hell with and has superpowers.
I would prefer it just be the hand, like the hand puts them in the little Lazarus pit, not Lazarus pit things. Like, he's back,
right.
I'd prefer that.
I want to say that I don't fully agree with Taz, right? So in that I don't feel like the show is done yet. I still think the quality of each episode was still really up there every time.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because I have no context, right? So I'm not sitting there going, oh, 1 was great, 2 sucked, this was this, and this is like, for me, it was all really good. There were some things that I would change in the middle of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think about it, a lot of it involved Heather. But, but yeah, I don't know. Like, because the thing is obviously you need time to progress the story, but like marinate it. Do you know what I mean? Which is why we got like the bank episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Okay, so I've got a couple different options as far as this show goes, right? So part of me wishes that they had just scrapped all the old stuff and went with just a completely fresh story, starting where we started in episode 1, but not reuse anything from that original version of the show. The other part of me almost wishes, while yes, this season felt rushed, and like we didn't get a full real conclusion, another part of me feels like these 9 episodes could have been, say, the first 3 to 5 episodes of a 10 to 13 episode season. Like, think about if this was episode 5, like maybe every episode was like an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, right? So like longer episodes like the original Netflix series. And we got, again, that 10 or 13 episodes like a Netflix length show. And again, if this was the halfway point, this was episode 5, and all this stuff had happened, like maybe a little bit more like quick succession, like we didn't spend the whole episode like at the bank, like that was just like, you know, a cold open or something like that. And, you know, Muse was still this like undertone throughout the whole thing, and you know the big catalyst, like say, you know, Bullseye gets out at the end of episode 4, and then episode 5 would be this episode 9 that we just saw, and then the rest of the season, the following 5 episodes, is investigating really what happened with Foggy's death. How do we stop Bullseye? How do we stop Fisk and Vanessa and this whole, like, you know, anti-vigilante task force sort of thing? And then maybe we have, you know, Punisher kind of working in the background. He escapes, does all of this stuff. And then the season comes to a head. You've got Daredevil, you've got Punisher, you've got Karen, and they face off against, you know, Kingpin. You bring Bullseye into the mix, that sort of thing. And then maybe even, I would go so far as to maybe even leave Muse as like the cliffhanger for the end of this season, and then he's really the full-on villain of the next season, maybe complete with some powers or something like that.
I wish
that would be my
committed.
perfect scenario.
I kind of agree. Like, maybe I'm just repeating what you just said, and if I do, I apologize. But like, I would have preferred you have kind of kept what you were doing for the first 7 episodes or so, or first 6 episodes, if you like that or not. And then those final 3, you use new footage, but you just fixed up what was already there, right? You kind of, like, instead of like, okay, this is the end here, now we're doing our own little thing for the last 2, is like, commit to Muse, but make him better. Add new scenes to flesh out these characters, to make it, even if it's not what you want to tell, because they clearly didn't want to tell a story about Muse, they wanted to tell a story about Bullseye and Kingpin, which I get it. They're great characters. They're awesome characters.
But you can tell the original writers wanted to tell a story about Muse.
Finish the story about Muse. Finish it. Commit to that season, and then next season you can do the Fisk vigilante.
Yeah, so you're basically just saying like the inverse of what I did. Yeah, which again, I like that idea too. I think separating the stories, like you said, would be a much better route to take. I really do. But again, I'm excited for season 2. Again, like Daredevil, original Netflix Daredevil, best Marvel TV show, best Marvel project, probably best Marvel story to date.
Yeah, agreed.
And Born Again had a very big horns to fill. So I think it did as well as it could with the very rough hand that it was dealt.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think, again, from what we've seen set-wise for season 2, what we've heard story-wise for how the cast is reacting to and portraying this second season, I think, relating back to what you both said, is like still good quality television. I think it's passable. I know that sounds kind of negative to say, oh, this was a passable season, but I think it's like a solid, like, you know, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 maybe, you know, if we're being really generous. But the second season is really going to be the deciding factor of, you know, retroactively, does this season feel like great setup for a incredible season 2, or also retroactively, does this season look even worse in comparison to how good season 2 could potentially be.
And I also want to say, like, I know this has been more of like a series or like a season review other than an episode review. I think this was an excellent episode. Like, I think individually this was a fantastic episode of television that just didn't fit the overall narrative that they were building to. I thought it was great. Like, I really enjoyed the setup stuff and where things are potentially going and the tone that they seem to be aiming for going forward. I do kind of agree
100%.
with Darth, though, where it's like, I am a little worried of the execution of next season. Like how do we start? Like, I think it's a great setup. I think it's a great way to end the season. But it's like, but where are we going? And like, you have the like building an army thing. And I know, like, when that scene is happening, you think Defenders, we're getting Spider-Man, we're getting
dude,
like those are the names.
I
off your
wanted
head.
that so bad.
I thought for a second. I thought I saw Jessica Jones for like a split second. like there was like a female like shadow in the corner. I was like, is that her? Is that her?
It's like, remember all these somewhat pointless, somewhat useless side characters were all in a room
and
together.
That's the thing. Like, that hits harder if we cared about some of these characters. Like, the character I care about the most is Josie, and that's the like silliest one in that lineup, right? Like, what's Josie gonna do against Kingpin except for having like a safe harbor, right? But like, but like, I heard the like directors, like, you know, the current showrunners talk about it, and I like what they're talking about in theory, right? They said if you have all the heroes there, it kind of diminishes the ending a little bit as it's trying to feel like a very hopeless ending. Like, they're trying to start this like revolution, and the idea is that these everyday people who aren't heroes, who don't fight, are going to stand up for what they think is right. I like that. That's a great concept. I just wish I cared about the people within that lineup more for that to hit harder. Imagine
if they were characters that we knew that were set up from the original Daredevil series. Like, think
the
about
cop
all
from the first show and stuff like that.
Think about all of those great characters that we grew to love throughout the course of the Daredevil series. Like, I mean, come on, again, somebody who's absent that should be there. She's literally still doing Disney stuff. Where's Rosario Dawson's character?
Yeah.
Where is she? Like, I feel like, you know, she could fit into the show as well. Like,
I mean,
bring
like,
back those original characters. And
here's what I'll say. It's like, unfortunately, with the setup, and I know not everything's about cameos and characters and crossovers, but like, with the story we are telling, you have to bring in some of those characters or it will feel weird, right? We're going to be asking the entire time. It's like, why wouldn't the first thing he do when there's a war against vigilantes to reach out to his other vigilante friends and be like,
unless like everybody else for one reason or another is like off on Doom World.
They're and that's another spot I thought they could have appeared. Like, at first when like they're going through the cages, I was like, oh, what if they're all in cages? Like, that would have been the scariest shit.
Okay, I just had a really bad theory.
Oh no.
So it was a year time jump between Foggy's death and the true beginning of this season, right? So what if within that year, that's the start of like Avengers Doomsday and Battle World and everything like that, and all the active heroes got pulled away, and because Matt was not an active hero, he was left behind. Therefore, there's no other heroes in New York City other than a retired Daredevil and a hermit Punisher.
I think it comes out before that all.
Yeah,
right?
I do too. But like, that's the only explanation that I can really think of that makes sense.
I think that
where is it? Where is everybody?
Like the X-Men '97.
And I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
More of a logical standstill than this did. I mean, when it had the whole blackout, how it showed
that was so thick.
Like, Doctor Strange would be there. I mean, I understand he might be off with Clea or whatever, right? Spider-Man,
Hawkeyes,
presumably Echo. I mean,
even
like
Moon,
a whole bunch of people.
Knight, maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that is the one place where, like, if you put up like a blackout, there's like a whole bunch of people.
The Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts comes out in a couple weeks. Takes place in
Dude,
New York.
what are they doing?
I do love all the memes of like, what's Wilson Fisk going to do against the Void? Like, what's he
Oh,
going to do?
also, I saw somebody bring this point up. I didn't think about it, but it makes sense. A mayor of a city in the United States does not have the power to initiate martial law.
I've heard this talk, and apparently New York has a little bit more power than most others do, but I agree they act like he's the president of the United States, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah, you can't just initiate martial law because you want to. Like that is a like federal government kind of thing, not a state government thing.
But this doesn't work because he said it on like live television. But like I was gonna say, well, look, maybe he's like paying people off to keep their mouth shut. Maybe he's like people that would be saying no are in cages. But like he did say it on live television for the world to see, like that.
Yeah, I mean, technically, the only thing that he can do is like make a militia, which he kind of did with the the Punisher gang. But yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back to history class and
right. Like I'm not
really like dive deep into it. But like that's like you can't do that, Fisk. But okay, we're gonna let that slide because if we tell him no, he's gonna smash our heads like watermelons.
I was gonna bring that up next.
Yeah.
Like
I'm just before you do, I'm gonna use this as a stopping off point.
Okay.
Say thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's 3:05 in the morning, so I'm gonna bounce.
All right, buddy. See ya. Have fun.
Thank
Sayonara. Adios.
Get some rest.
You okay?
Yeah. It was asking me what I wanted to do because it's uploading and recording or something.
Oh, it's fine. You can just exit. So he did it instantly.
Oh, it's fine.
And we do have to hurry up because we're already at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, I know.
But like, I do want to. I mean, I'll give them. Actually, I feel like I'm right, and I'm also not right with this whole thing. I will give them the props. I said early on that I didn't think there was anything that they could have done to make it more violent than the original Daredevil show. That's a statement that I made.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong with that.
Yeah, that might be a little more brutal than the car door scene.
That was the boys level, right? Like that's something I know you've seen that, but it's very the boys. It's very Invincible. Right. On the other hand of it, I also think I was a little right where it to me, and it's a good scene. It's I don't have a problem with it, but it did feel like a scene that was trying to prove it could do it, right? To me, it felt like it was like gory for the sake of being gory, which is kind of what I was afraid of. I'm not complaining. I get it. It's a very insane scene. It's not a problem for me, but I hope they don't do that a lot, right? Like I hope this was a one-time thing to be like, hey, we can do this. Disney Plus is no longer above, being super violent and gritty and gory. Like we can do that. Blade's going to be gory, guys. Like we can do it, right? And I think that's why they did it, and I think that's great. But it did feel like gory for the sake of gore because they can now do that kind of thing.
I mean, they also did that a lot with the Punisher's fight scenes as well. Like, I mean, there were some brains flying and everything like that as well. I think that Frank he went all like John Wick.
There was like
on
that
everybody.
like Last of Us scene where he stabs in the throat and the blood spills out.
Yeah, no,
that I mean, also felt a little like, all right.
I don't know. I loved it. I loved it. I mean, I like.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I do like hyper violence. Like I'm a big Tarantino guy. Like I like that kind of. I think when it's done well. Either if it's done well or it's done so over the top campy that it's meant to be over the top campy, right? Mm-hmm. But I think this fell into the category of respectful enough, right? Sure. Like they didn't go too overboard, but they were like, "Hey, yeah, no, this is big, it's violent, it's crazy."
I thought
and
the
we're
head
pushing the
crushing
envelope
was
a
bit much. Like
Oh no, it was a bit much, but I think it was to show that like, okay, no, Fisk is like a absolute nutcase.
Yeah, like my mom was watching and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know how I feel." No, I was like,
"Sorry, Mom."
I was like, "Sorry, I don't know." Like it's definitely like you said, you might start The Boys soon. That's the kind of thing The Boys does like every week. In terms of its stuff.
I'm sure.
Let's read some comments here and then we can give our final thoughts because I do really want to talk about The Last of Us.
We do.
We're already on the 2-hour mark. How many suits do you think Daredevil will have in season 2? And Defenders are 100% showing up to help. Also, DD logo in the suit. Let's break that down. How many suits do we think he has or will have in season 2?
I mean, I would assume he starts the season with the suit that we see at the end of this season, the red suit, and then
Which makes
very
sense now.
quickly, and then we'll very quickly get the black and red suit with the double D's on the chest.
Yeah, because
and
like
that
it makes
suit looks great.
It now makes sense because like I didn't quite want to talk about that suit on here because it's like it is technically leaks and spoilers, and I want people to go on as blind as I can, so I won't fully spoil it. But like, one of my questions was like, why now? Right? Like, what happens in season 2 that would acquire him to have that?
Yeah.
And it makes sense now. He wants a symbol, something
You're right.
more than before, something that people can spray paint on walls and buildings to inspire hope. And
but not paint in blood. Don't do that.
Yes, don't paint in blood, but like people can get tattoos. People can like spread that around. People can see that symbol and be like, "This means hope," which I think is what they're probably going to be going for. Defenders 100% showing up. I think someone from the Defenders will show up. I am pretty certain about that. I think either Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, or both. I think I think Jessica Jones is a safe bet, to be honest. I think that makes sense.
I think there's a I would hope maybe potentially we see Elektra at some point as well. I know the actress has kind of talked about wanting to come back, or at least saying that she would come back if she was asked. And especially if they go down the route that you were saying with Muse and reintroducing the hand and stuff like that. Maybe there's some room.
I want Elektra really bad. I do kind of hope they wait a little bit though. Just like,
I wouldn't say not
I'd say
necessarily
season 3 to be honest.
Yeah, or maybe a teaser at the end of season 2.
I agreed with that.
Fun.
I think we get more Swordsmaster though. I think Swordsmaster is gonna be a much bigger character.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Punisher...
I wonder if he's gonna play a big role in that Punisher special, and maybe they break out together.
That'd be cool. Jonathan says they can't keep reusing Fisk. It's getting repetitive. Also, how are they supposed to put him away? I do I love Wilson Fisk so much. I really do. But I wish they would have done a better job at reintroducing him because he does feel a little repetitive, and a lot of people have brought up that the ending of season 3 now kind of feels in void. Like that is such a good ending. And I said episode 1, I needed them to explain how he got out, how he grew the community that he did. The final episode is literally them being like, we will never let this happen again. We've seen what he can do, and this will never happen again. Yeah. And it does, and they don't explain it, and that's crucial for me next season. That's my number one need, is I need to see how he did this.
Yeah. My final Star Wars reference of the day. They did the same thing with Fisk that they did with Grogu. After Mando season 2 ended in such a spectacular way, only for it to be completely undone, uprooted, and just set back to status quo.
Agreed.
In an episode of the Book of Boba Fett, so that when season 3 picked up, we were right back to where we left off. And that is the exact same thing that happened here. Daredevil season 3 ends, big climactic showdown between Matt and Fisk. I won't kill you. You will go back to prison where you will spend the rest of your days rotting in a cage. Only for him to pop back up in multiple, small roles in Disney Plus series, Hawkeye, Echo, and then just be the main villain, big threat in Born Again, for all intents and purposes, Daredevil season 4, like nothing ever happened.
And that's something I've been thinking about lately, of what is the end game for Wilson Fisk? Especially if this is a show that's going to be going on for many, many seasons, as they say. Will everyone feature Wilson Fisk? Because if so, I might get a little tired of him, right? I don't want him to become a Reverse Flash situation. I also don't think Charlie wants to do the show without him, because they are such good friends at this point. He is almost a co-lead at this point. And he has now been the villain for 5. He was the villain on Daredevil season 1. He was in season 2, but he wasn't the main villain. He was in season 3. He was in
Yeah.
Echo. He was in Hawkeye. He's in this. He'll be in next season.
Yeah.
He's been the villain of 6 seasons. He's been featured in 7. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I have been wondering, like, what is the end goal? Like, where are we heading?
In a weird way, I almost want... Imagine, like, Vanessa goes down for his crimes, right? And Fisk is kind of hailed in the eyes of the city as the good guy.
Mm.
And him and Matt need to learn to coexist, right?
Sure.
So Fisk needs to give his blessing for Daredevil to do his thing. And Daredevil needs to give his approval for Mayor Fisk. And they kind of, not necessarily work together, but begrudgingly become acquaintances.
He needs to take a step back for a season or so, I think.
Yeah,
like,
but and that's how I think he does it, right? Is so he's not the main threat, he's not the main villain, he just exists in the city. You hear some references to Fisk, maybe they cross paths a couple times, maybe Matt goes and asks him a question or two about the villain of the season, that sort of thing. You know, Fisk kind of, gets under Matt's skin a little bit, but there's nothing, head-to-head about them. And then maybe they do a final season, showdown. But again, it's going to literally be exactly what we got in
well, that's
season
what I'm
3.
saying. It's like
there's no real ending in sight for these two.
Exactly. Like, I don't think either of them can realistically do that. Like, I think both of them are just too addicted to what they do. Like, I don't think Fisk wants to or would for the long term be a good mayor. We've seen that this season. I think the ultimate thing is going to have to be Fisk dying, right? Not by his hands, but very much in a similar way as, like, I guess Black Lightning, he did kill he did kill Whale, right? But, like, in their showdown, he kills himself due to his own, like, selfish reasons.
I don't think you could kill Fisk. Like you said, like, for the sole purpose that, number 1, he's a fan favorite, number 2, he's a co-lead, number 3.
I'm saying, like, at the end of the run.
Oh, at the end of it. Okay.
The final episode ever of Daredevil. We're never seeing him again.
But
I think that's how you have to do it.
Morally, how would that reflect though on Matt?
I don't think he
didn't kill him. He didn't. No, I'm saying he didn't kill him, but he didn't save him.
Maybe he tries.
Maybe.
Right? Like, maybe it's like this is a wild example, but like Tarzan, when like, is it Kerchef, when he's like on the ropes and he's like, take my hand, come on, is like, no, I got, like, I don't know, something like that, where it's like, he tries to save him, but he, due to his own, like, iron will, he won't let him. He needs to do it. I don't know, something like, I don't know. It's weird, but I do agree with that sentiment where I am a bit worried about the end game of it all. Okay, final show. We're 2 hours in. I have a lot to say, but we'll try and make it semi kind of brief.
Set it up. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna go take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back.
Okay. What should we talk about while we wait, ladies and gentlemen? Should we dive right into it, or should we wait a couple minutes? Anyone still in the comment that wants to do a quick little Q&A, a quick little questionnaire while we wait for good old Taz? I will say it like the environment around this episode is one I haven't seen in a very long time. It's been an interesting journey. Like, I've spent my whole day either watching or like making my reaction to it, like editing that down, or watching other people talk, like, make theirs, because it's such a cool moment. It's such a moment in history, and seeing the general reactions online have been interesting from game fans and new fans. Like, it's interesting seeing people experience this for the first time. It's very interesting. How's everyone else feeling about it? I don't know if we have anyone in the chat still, but whoo, Jonathan, how's it going, buddy? Do you think viewership for Last of Us will go down because of that death? That's a good question. I think it has to. I think it inherently will a little bit. but I think that will be okay. It's been interesting seeing it's interesting because like we've all had time to process it, right? Like we've all gone through those motions. So there's a bit of me that watching other people watch it, it's so cool. And even a little angering because I'm like, no, this is how you should feel about it. This is how you should be feeling. But I know that's not fair because I've had time to grieve. They have not. So I need to let them have the time to grieve, have time to mourn. And then they could maybe see a similar way of view of mine. Jonathan was just asking, do you think the viewership will go down for The Last of Us?
Not any more than it already has gone down because of the
it's at a high
way of this season. Like I don't, not that like the numbers have gone down, but just anybody that jumped ship going into this season, I don't think this episode's going to bring them back, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, like I think I saw like last week's episode was the highest viewed episode of the whole show.
Really?
It was like it was like up like 15% or something crazy. It was like, oh, okay,
oh wow.
Which makes sense now though because they've had years to stream it. Like, you know, like when the first season came out, it was just the game fans watching it, and now it's collected a fan base within the show itself, which are watching it.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool how a video game story has transcended the medium of a video game so much that people are becoming fans of this game that have never
played the game,
played it, don't plan on playing it, but they're just a fan of the story that the game is telling.
Well, that's the reason to do something like this, right?
Yeah.
Like, hypothetically, like, I'm a game fan and I'm loving the show to death. Like, I'm enjoying it. But, like you do this and you do, like, book adaptations and stuff like that to not necessarily for the people who've read the books who already love that story, but it's to bring in people who aren't book readers, who aren't gamers, who aren't going to be, you know, consuming it that way, bringing it to an entire new audience.
Yeah, that's why I think IPs like Fallout was so successful, and
brilliant.
I think a lot of people that didn't play the games are big fans of that. I think,
and it brought so many people to the game.
Yeah, I think if we ever got a good Assassin's Creed movie or an Assassin's Creed TV show, I think that could be very big. Think about how popular those original Tomb Raider movies were.
Sure.
You know, I think movies and shows in that vein, or what is it? Arcane is based off of League of Legends. Yeah. So
tripled
all of these things.
That like game, like
yeah,
so many people didn't even know it was a thing. I mean, obviously it was huge, but like the amount of people that came to that. I mean, same with Minecraft. Like I might shoot the Minecraft movie, but like
Chicken
it's
Jockey
up for the first time in. I can go down a rabbit hole. I hate the movie so much, but like. It's helping the game. Like people are playing the game again. It's either bringing people back or introducing people to it for the first time.
Yeah, dude, it feels like 2000. It feels like 2012 again. Playing like Minecraft on the Xbox 360.
So, how are you feeling, Taz? Because there's a lot of things I want to talk about with this one. You knew, but also you. Okay, so you knew it was going to happen. Did you know how in the context of it?
I knew Joel was going to die. And I knew it involved a golf club.
A golf club, yeah.
And I reposted a very funny meme with the Pedro Pascal crying video, and it was a screenshot of HBO Max with The Last of Us trending with pro golf. So I thought that was quite hilarious.
I mean, how are you feeling? Because this is your official first experience of what feels like this canon event that everyone has to go through eventually.
It's interesting. Like, I will say it's sad. I knew it was going to happen, but it didn't necessarily impact me as much as I thought. Like, I remember being more emotionally attached to, say, the Bill and Frank episode last season. I think maybe these episodes are going to be very similar as far as like, I think still that is the best episode of season 1.
Agreed.
Was that Bill and Frank episode.
Agreed.
And it expanded on an already existing story and some existing characters and everything like that from the games, but it took it in a brand new direction. From what I can tell, yes, some things were changed up from the game as far as how this developed, what was going on simultaneously, maybe even when kind of in the timeline that this happened. But for the most part, I saw I right after the episode came out, I was kind of scrolling through Twitter, seeing what everybody thought. I saw somebody post the clip from the game, and it, for the most part, seemed like a pretty much a 1-for-1 recreation of that scene. Yeah, obviously
with one major. Well, there's quite a few changes, but we can talk about that. But like the scene itself, you are right. Like
yeah. Outside of the fact that the big thing is people are thinking it's a little bit less believable since Abby's not like a big jacked like unit of a person now. But like I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
No, she's just a sad girl. Like and like people are like complaining about it, but it's like they just kind of ambushed them, right? It wasn't a situation of like oh, she overpowered her. It was like, no, she shot her with a shotgun. Like, she's like what was Joe gonna do?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing that he could do. But, so, okay, that was maybe my big question, my big gripe, and I went immediately to the expert on this. I consulted my brother directly after the episode.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, okay, so this seems to me out of character for Joel to see this girl and just be like, hey, come with us, we'll help you, kind of thing. I feel like season 1 Joel would have been so skeptical, would have been like, who are you? Who are you with? Why are you here? What are you doing here? And all while pointing a gun in her face. But according to my brother, you can, if you like listen to like the audio logs or read the intel or whatever it's called in the game, like you learn that in that 5-year gap, Joel has gone down this path of like self-discovery and trying to do the right thing, that sort of thing. So in that context, now, yes, it retroactively does make sense. Okay, Joel's trying to be a better person, trying to change. He sees this person in need. He sees this person trying to, survive in all of this. Cool, we'll help you. But it sucks that, ironically, him trying to be a better person is what gets him killed.
Well, we can talk about that because I don't fully agree on that regard. But, like, we even see that, and I think that was a really good inclusion, seeing him a part of the community last week, a part of Jackson. Yeah. There's a whole scene of, like, he's been helping, trying to expand Jackson and fit more people in and save as many people as they can all season, and it's him being like, I want to help all these people. That's our goal, but how? Like help me expand that. I think seeing him, and we also got to see like him being more docile. Like he became a father again. Like in season 1, he wasn't a father for 15 years or so, right? He has been a father these last 5 years to Ellie when he could, to Dana, and also his nephew. He never had a nephew.
True.
That's not in the game. He has no nephew in the game, which I think is going to be a huge. We can probably talk more about that next week because I think that will affect more stuff next week. But I think the first episode did a really good job at showing you how he softened up a little bit and how he's become more docile and he's got old, right? Like he's not the man he was 5 years ago, which I think they did. I think helps a little bit more, which in the game they don't really do that much. Like he kind of just feels like the same stubborn old man that he was in the first game.
That's kind of the other aspect too that my brother was telling me is like apparently they've kind of aged him up maybe a little bit further in the show as well, which I guess again it makes sense as like he's gotten older, like he's not going to be able to defend himself in the same way that he was earlier on in his life, in his career as a survivor, I guess, for a lack of a better term.
Yeah, and just like really, really quickly to go back to the whole Abby thing and like Abby not being buff, I feel differently about it because I do like buff Abby in the games because to me it shows her growth and how willing she was to beat Joel. Like she's been training for the last 5 years straight, nonstop for this one singular thing, and I think that makes sense for that version of the character. But I also think creatively it makes a lot of sense here to have her be a little skinnier because she's going to have to face off against Ellie eventually, and Bella Ramsey isn't like
that would be
she doesn't have a video game aesthetic, which is fine. Like I know she gets a lot of shit because she's blah blah blah. I think she's a fantastic casting. I love her version of Ellie, but she's not a video game character. She will never look the way that Ellie looks in a video game, and I think people need to stop expecting her to. Same way that Pedro doesn't look like Joel in the game, but no one gives him shit for that either. It's a thing, right?
So, oddly enough, so speaking of characters looking like characters, right? Am I weird for thinking in some ways the actress that plays Abby kind of looks like she could play Ellie as well?
People say that, yeah, and I can see that, right?
Yeah,
but not in a way to take down.
No, not at all. But I think like just like certain features like very similar to how the character looked in the second game.
Well, they also kind of like they don't look alike in the game, but like. They have some similar features, especially that Ellie's a bit older in this one. Like, she's much, much buffer than Ellie is in any world, right? But that's kind of also the fun of the game is like, well, she's a little bit of the underdog in that fight. Like, she's not as well trained nor as strong as Abby is.
But I feel like also, too, that's kind of the point of, like, the different gameplay mechanics, right, in the second game, because you're a lot more nimble and agile and acrobatic, and you can do, like, crazier moves and stuff like that, because that's the kind of character that Ellie is she's a lot more mobile, I guess, than Joel was. I just remember from what I played in that first game, like, Joel was kind of a tank in a lot of ways. Like, the movement was fairly clunky. And from everything that I've seen in that second game, it's a lot more fluid. There's a lot more like additional movement and stuff like that. And I've seen people do like some very cool takedowns and stuff like that. But I think this episode does also give me the thing that I wanted. And we literally talked about it last week is we got like 1,000 zombies charging the settlement.
So I don't think there's ever been that many infected in the game ever. Like there's I think it's inspired by actually a game 1 thing where like there's a scene in game 1 where you're like up on these pedestals and you're with your sniper and you're like shooting down these hordes of zombies in a way. But this feels like bigger in stakes than anything in the games, in my opinion, in terms of the infected and how the consequences of this. I should also say, and Jonathan, I will answer that question in a second because I'm very excited to talk about that. That's all new, right? Everything, like that whole sequence with them invading Jackson and Tommy being like, that's all new stuff, which go ahead.
Yeah, and are the spores and stuff like that in the pipes, is that new too?
That is something they did for the show, where like the spores have like the mind of like the little
that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah,
and they
so
that's all new,
right? And so I guess I'm just clarifying, right? That at least this was again that since I don't know a ton, I think that if them uncovering the spores in the pipes is what awoke them out. In the ice. So. Okay.
Yeah, like it attracted. It was like they were after them, and then to a point they diverged, going to Jackson instead. I think that was them digging it up. It's
right.
Like, I'm awake. Wakey.
We've woken the hive. Yeah.
We've woke 100%, and that makes them scary. Like that's one of my favorite additions from the game to the show because that gives them this extra layer of fear that they could be awakened at any time and know your location. Like that's sick.
And speaking of fear, I was very scared that the dogs were going to get infected from but apparently animals can't really get infected.
I think they
can be. So I looked this up. So animals apparently can be carriers, but not actually become infected.
They can't become.
And then I think it has something to do with maybe they don't have the mental capacity to actually be taken over, which is interesting. However, just don't get bit by one of those dogs now, I guess.
Right. And that's something Walking Dead kind of dived into that a little bit, where it's you have these infected deers where they're not trying to kill you, but their faces all crinkled up and stuff like that. It's they dived into that a little bit. But I do want to talk about some of these changes here really quickly, and I think that will lead into some other conversations. Do you like the changes made in this episode? Accelerate Dana being with Joel instead of Tommy. So yeah, they changed up the placement of a lot of characters. Where at first I wasn't sure how I was feeling because it was fundamentally the way it was structured. meant that certain things weren't going to happen that they have in the beginning of the game. That was like, huh, interesting. So in the game, the whole structure is it's Joel and Tommy, and they're out on patrol. Then it's Ellie and Dinah or Dina. They're going out on patrol, and Jesse goes and finds them and he's like, "Hey, Joel and Tommy are gone. We gotta go find them." And that's kind of where they did. So in here, they switch it up, having it be Joel and Dana going out on patrol, and then it's Ellie and Jesse, and having Tommy stay there. And I think
and have to defend the homestead.
Yeah, which again leads to that entire sequence that just never existed. And I think that adds such a cool layer to this story. I think it's very interesting that Tommy hasn't seen the death of Joel this time around, because he is there. You know, he's there to witness him die. Like,
that's something that I feel like I remember hearing about, is that and so I guess that kind of makes it so, at least in the game world, like Tommy's kind of been there and seen all the bad stuff that's happened to Joel. And and now this time around, yes, he defended their home, but now, he's not there, which kind of, that's rough. That's rough.
And I don't know how much you know about like what's going to be going on in these next couple of episodes here, but this puts Tommy in a much more interesting situation than I think he was in the game. Whereas like he's very interesting in the game, but he's going to have to make a choice of what he wants to do and what's important to him. And I think having a destroyed community, a defenseless community, is going to make that fascinating. It makes his character a lot more interesting going into these next couple, and what he chooses to do, and also the grief of Tommy. He chose to defend this community over finding Joel, right? Like he was about to head out and go find him, but this all started happening. So then there's going to be in the back of my mind of like, if I would have left, could I have saved my brother? And what's more important to me, my brother or this community and my family? Like that is going to, I think, meld with him.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And then like things that happen next, like I'm curious about like what's his mental state going to be like when he has to make certain decisions, when the plot starts to get plotting. And like I think Tommy's a vast improvement in the show over the game. Like he is a supporting character in the game. He's great. I love Tommy. But they've made him so much more, in my opinion. Like,
he seems a lot more likable, from what I understand. Like he's very likable in the show, I think.
There's just more of him
aspects.
Here as well. Like he's a more supporting character. Like he has a much deeper connection with Ellie. And again, in the game, he doesn't have a kid. It's just him and his fiance, I think, right? So I think giving him a kid adds to that. They've been doing a good job at like setting up the dynamic between Ellie and Tommy a lot more here, which makes sense because Joel won't be there. So they're going to have to add this new dynamic into the mix and to kind of see where that leads them in an interesting way that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah. I'm in an interesting spot now because this is the point in which my knowledge drops off. Like,
sure.
I know nothing past this point. The only thing I knew about the second game,
cool,
outside of again the split narrative, was all right. Joel dies, and that's all I know. I know Joel gets beaten. I know Joel gets beaten to death, and then you're running the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I guess trying to avenge his death.
I'm like, I think starting next week is when I'll very much keep the spoilers on lock. Like I'm trying just to talk about the stuff in the game that we've passed thus far. And
keep me updated, like lore wise, like give us some like Easter eggs and references and stuff like that. Again, this is unfortunately the one thing that I don't know a ton about. Like, and
I'm not an expert either. Like I haven't beat the game, but I'm hoping to like play a little every week. So hopefully I'll keep staying right ahead, which will be kind of nice because I'll be very fresh on it each week. Hopefully, so I'll be like, okay. But it sucks because I don't know where they're pulling from either. Because maybe they'll pull stuff because they've already pulled stuff from the end of the game that I'm like, I didn't see this. I'm so sorry.
So like I said, is I will diverge to you or to my brother as far as like you know, the authority figure on this, and even to an extent, like my dad knows a little bit more because he watched my brother play this game more than I've played it on my own.
Hey, Draven, what's up, buddy?
You know, but I'm
Um,
enjoying it though, as somebody who hasn't played the game, who doesn't know a ton going into it. I'm enjoying it, and I'm like watching it this week. I was like, I guess this is what fans of The Walking Dead felt like.
Walking Dead, and I also felt, I don't know if you've seen it, Game of Thrones. This episode
I
felt
haven't.
Very Game of Thrones. This feels
Really?
very White Walker coded. On the
Pedro Pascal was in that as well, wasn't he?
and Bella Ramsey both were. Yeah,
Wait, really?
yeah. She was real little. It was her first acting gig.
Huh. Did not know that. That's a very interesting fact.
Yeah, but like it felt like on the scale, like that entire giant horde fight scene when they're all, that feels very Game of Thrones, and it felt like they were really, and because like you said, one of your big things from season 1, there wasn't enough action, there wasn't enough huge like infected battles.
Yeah.
To me, this felt like, okay,
All right,
I
this is
get
making
ya.
up for it.
Bet.
Yeah.
Bet.
And dude,
Game of
she's
Thrones
just like
level,
running down the side of the mountain with all of these zombies, like not your round 1 through 10 Call of Duty zombie. Like, no, this is like health cap round 55 super sprinter zombies that you need like a full perkaholic to get away from.
Yeah, it feels so like, you mentioned Walking Dead, Dead City Season 2 next month. Absolutely, I'm excited. But I think one of the things that like kind of sets these two apart a little bit is like, we talked about this last week, Walking Dead kind of, I love that universe. The walkers aren't that threatening anymore in that show. Like I very solemnly, except for like some of the like Dead City stuff, weirdly enough, where they start doing like hybrids and like there's this, honestly, I might show you a clip later. There's a clip from Dead City where it's like a bunch of these walkers that were underground for like years and they like intertwined together. So it's just like hybrid of like 12 different walkers like in this like hybrid monster thing that's like, okay,
an amalgam,
an amalgamation of like all these like intertwined. It's like, oh, that's terrifying. Okay,
that's literally that's literally a zombie mini boss in Black Ops 6, by the way.
It's great, and it's like it feels good to fear zombies, you know. And it's weird because I actually don't like zombies that much in terms of like a thing. Like I'm not a huge, like, I love Last of Us and The Walking Dead because of its stories and its characters and stuff. Zombies itself don't interest me that much, but I think if you have it, they have to feel threatening. They have to feel scary. You have to feel the presence, and you feel the presence this episode. You feel the stakes.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been this ingrained in like an action set piece in a very long time. Like I was glued to my screen, being like,
it was
what's going to happen?
Really well done. It was really well done. I was honestly worried that they were going to burn their whole settlement down. I was like, that is a lot of fire suspiciously close to your giant wood wall.
Yeah.
But it didn't really matter when the bloater just like broke through the wall like the Kool-Aid man.
And that's such a good scene because like I knew like if the game stuff was any invocation, I knew Tommy wasn't going to die here, right? Like I had that in my head of like, okay, we know that's not going to happen. But I was like, but what if it does? And I think that scene was so good because it convinces you, like, he might die here. Like, I don't know how he's possibly going to get out of this situation. And, you know, you kind of get that bargaining thing that I was talking about last week, where, like, the back of my head, it was like, okay, what if they kill Tommy instead of Joel? And it's like, I know that's not going to happen, but I'm so invested. I'm like, but what if it does? Like, what if it could? Like, what if that could happen? And I'm so invested in both, like both of these characters and what's going on, and like bloaters as well. Like bloaters are like one of the biggest things in these games. And I'll say last season, I didn't feel it that much. Like it kind of was just like a random kind of thing they had to get past. Right? I didn't feel the stakes of it. I feel the stakes again,
like
here.
The bloater got introduced in the game in a kind of like a one-on-one boss fight, right? Like if I remember correctly, it was in the cafeteria of the school, right? Was that
I don't remember offhand, but
I believe so.
It's
like,
more
again,
of like
that's
a one-on-one fight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember, and I remember dying on that like quite a few times.
They are menace. They are.
Yeah.
You have to have the right equipment. You have
Yeah,
to be
I think
fast.
I used like all of my ammo on this one freaking zombie.
Well, I think that's why I didn't beat the game the first time around, because like I was stuck on a bloater. Had very little items left, and you kind of have to like go to this room, to this room, this room, and you had to blow them up
Yeah.
as you go. And it's like I was stuck. Like I didn't
Yeah,
actually
you gotta
finish
like
it.
throw everything in the kitchen sink at the dude.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't played The Last of Us games yet. I have The Last of Us Part 1 and thinking of buying The Last of Us Part 2 remastered for the PS5 before watching. Will I like the show more or less? Well, I really hope you haven't been listening to us spoil the last season and a half. I do apologize. Will I like the show more or less? I think you could... I don't know. I think it's going to be different experiences. Like I've been really enjoying the like Real Rejects' reactions to it, because they have two going on. They have the fans, the gamers are watching one set of it, and the other set is the non-gamers who know nothing. I think you might enjoy it if you know nothing. I think you might enjoy it. You just watch the show raw. But also like I'm having fun also knowing it. So I think you're going to have different experiences either way. I think this season, especially if you have not been spoiled for it, I think you're going to have a more genuinely raw reaction to it. If you don't know what's coming, if you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I think from my perspective too is like, again, as somebody who knew the big plot points going in but didn't really play the game a ton, I think watching the show definitely inspires me to want to go play it.
Sure.
In the same way that once I finished the Fallout show, like I was like, I kind of want to go back and play some of these Fallout games. Like, I want to go. Like, I literally watched a video of a guy that was like, "All right, I'm gonna beat every single Fallout game in under a week." And I was like, "Oh, that looks fun."
Yeah, and this show does such a good job at like. Obviously, it does its own things. Like there's set pieces that are different and unique and fresh, but also there's bits that are straight from the game, like ripped page for page, note for note. That scene when she is like running from the Walker Horde, she's like she gets trapped underneath the fence. Joel comes in, shoots her in the shoots the walkers in the head. That is note for note the game, and like while it's happening, I feel like. This happened while watching the first season as well. There's an anxiety that hits me unlike anything else because I feel like I've lost control of the game, right? I feel like these things are happening that I know from the game and I can't control what's happening in the scenario. And it's like, no, run. I can't, it's not working. Why can't I make them run? And like there's that feeling of it. And they did that really well in season 1 with the whole like car sequence when you're driving out of the city with Sarah. And I felt that same thing here of like, this anxiety, and I'll be honest, I had that anxiety the whole episode because it did kind of feel like I was in this uncontrollable car, right? Like I knew what my destination was going to be and how that was going to hurt me, but I couldn't do anything to stop it. You know what I mean?
You've been in the driver's seat for so long, it's tough, swapping into the passenger seat and just letting it play out. I
knew where Joel was heading. I knew where it had to go. And like I said earlier, there's that bargaining of like, what can I do to save him? How can I stop this? The whole time I'm like, they can't finish it this episode. They don't have time. They don't have time. They have to do it next week. Do it next week, where I can just have him a little bit longer. And I think that's the funness that the gamers have been having with this. And like seeing the non-gamers have been very interesting too. I was talking about this a little bit before, but it's very interesting to see. They're very raw, very passionate, very emotional reactions to everything. It's very Red Wedding from Game of Thrones, where it's like this thing that just changes the fundamentals of the show forever. And it's interesting because, again, I was just saying this, but like we've had time to grieve, and I can look at these discussions being had, and I want to hear your thoughts on this at the end here, but I can hear them being said, and like I could be like, but no, they did this, for they can do this, for they can do this, for they can do this. But that's me, who has the knowledge, who's been able to grieve over this character for the last couple years, who can think it all over as a more collective story and be like, this is why this works, in my opinion. They don't have that. So what they have is just like this feeling of rage right now of like, they did this thing to my favorite character and I hate them for it. And it's
honestly, thinking about that from that perspective, you're right. Like I didn't even think about it. Like somebody that went into it was like, oh, this is based off of a video game. I've never played this game, whatever. But
Yeah.
I kind of like zombies. Sure, somebody who's not like in the know.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of the most like insane like gut punch to give
Yeah.
you right at the beginning of a second
No,
season of something. Is like, hey, remember the main character?
they're gone.
Oh well.
They're gone. Yeah. No. It's like in terms of a TV death, I'd argue, and I know it's a bit different because it is based on a game, but like if you were just watching the show, it is one of the most insane TV deaths I think you can ever do in a thing. And it works better, I think, in a game because they are separated, right? There is the main one where that's the story, but for them, it's not like a split up. It is.
Yeah.
It is the second season. Like, you killed the main character off in the second episode of the second season. Like, that is insane.
So, question, I guess. Were you a fan of the games when they were coming out, or did you only get into the games because of the show?
I got into it because I heard the show was happening. And I heard so many incredible things. And I had I bought my PS4 in 2021 when I graduated. I spent my like graduation money on a PS4 because I wanted something to do during the summer and elsewhere. Yeah. So I heard how good the game was. Pedro Pascal was just cast as Joel, and I was like, you know what? This is something really special. And at that point, like 2 had just come out like the year prior, right? So it's 2021. The game came out 2020. I knew Joel was dying. Like I knew Joel was dying before I had even started the first game.
Okay.
So
you didn't even get to go through it fresh. The first time either. Okay.
I didn't, and like I think that helped me in a way because like I kind of knew that going in, so I wasn't as upset when it eventually did happen because that was his destiny from day one, right?
Yeah.
What I didn't know is going to happen in the first like 2 hours of the game, right? Like because like what does story structure tell you? Like these major hero deaths happen at the end of the story, the end of their journey,
right? Or even like somewhere in the middle, maybe.
Yeah, like he's going to be the major sacrifice in the thing. It's like, okay, yeah, but I got a whole game of Joel. Oh, I don't have a whole game of Joel.
No.
You took him away from me. And yeah. I do want to ask you like how you do feel about the death in general and like the argument that's being had about like what they're doing with Abby and how they're doing Joel. Like just like how do you feel about the death in general? Like are you like
so I guess before I answer that, I question about the background on it as well, right? Do you know that, or do you know if fans knew about the death before the game? Was this something that they advertised in trailers, or was this a day one discovery? Because I know certain things, like certain games, like think about, I don't know if you know about it or have played it a ton, but Destiny, there was a DLC that came out, Destiny Forsaken, and they killed off one of the main characters, Cade 6. Voiced by Nathan Fillion, actually. They killed him off in that DLC, but the hook for the DLC, the draw for it, was that he was going to die. Like, they advertised that in the trailers when that expansion was announced. Is that the same case here, or did we not know going into it?
So I don't know about trailers, because I don't think I ever actually watched the trailers and stuff like that. Like, I just played the games on my own. But I do know the leaks had come out months or years before the game. So, and that's the worst way for that to happen. That's the fundamentally worst way, because you're not experiencing the story. The dude bros are looking at these leaks and being like, oh, they killed the character in the first act and then the female lead takes over. And you know how the internet works in that way, where it's like, I think it was one of like the first huge like Walking Dead's gone woke, this new term that we're, it's one of those huge things.
So people already had the preconceived notions and the bad taste in their mouth going into it, which is why there was so much hate for the game.
Why there was so much controversy. And like, I get not liking it. It is hard to see your favorite character get murdered in the way that they do. It is hard. This isn't an easy story to tell. It is rough.
Yeah.
Right? But for it to have happened the way it did, I do think it hurt the game forever. And it was still immensely popular. It's still one of the most popular games of the last 10 years. Like it did fine. But at the time, and since then it's become a cult classic. People love it now. Even people still hate it, but like I love it now. At the time, it was like everyone was like, "This sucks." Like, no, this is horrible.
like I mentioned last week, when that game first came out, my brother still really enjoyed. He loved that game. Not as much as the first one, but he was not in that camp of people who disliked it.
Yeah.
So I was always like, oh, like it can't be that bad of a story.
No.
Going into this again, I knew it was going to happen. After experiencing the death for myself, it was like obviously very emotional gut punch. Very much so a like, okay, now the big thing has happened. Where the heck do we go from here?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really my biggest question is like, what do we do now? Obviously, Abby has completed her goal. She's happy. But Ellie is going to be on a revenge arc tear, literally the exact opposite. And from like the little teasers and the trailers and stuff like that, this is where we fully, like, I guess, gear her up to the point of which she, is at in the game, which again, from what I know, she's like a complete badass in the second game, got a crazy arsenal of, weaponry and stuff like that. And I'm very excited to see, where that goes. But again, I don't know where that story goes, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know what the end game is here. I don't know how much like flashback wise we're gonna get. I'm assuming we're gonna still see Pedro Pascal and some flashbacks. Like, I would guess that's because there are still some gaps story wise that we need to fill in. Like, does Ellie know that Joel lied to her? Like, all of these small little things here and there that I'm sure will get revealed to us. But yeah, I'm excited. I think, what is it, 7 episodes this season in total?
Yeah, so we
okay.
5. Oh my gosh, we have 5 more. Okay.
Yeah. And I really like the episode lengths, by the way. I will say this is something that I've done, like, with Daredevil and all of this, is I keep like checking the episode length. Like, how long is this episode? How long is this episode?
So
like,
long. Yeah.
These episodes, They're don't movies. Even like. I sit down, I turn it on, and it's over when it's over. Like, I don't even care how long it is. And like sometimes, like I think I started this one, a few minutes after it came out, like, maybe 15 minutes after 9 or whatever. And I'm sitting there, it's like 10:20, almost 10:30, and I'm like, dude, how did this episode go on for like over an hour?
Yeah. No, the pacing is great. How they're putting together is great. I'm so curious about the template of the season, because like we talked about it last week, and like I was kind of thinking maybe they would wait, like they would spend a lot of filler this season and kind of hang out and do a lot of setup. I respect the hell out of it, to be honest. Of like, they knew from the jump they weren't going to change that. People wanted them to change it. I was like, no, this is the story, and we're telling that story, and you have to deal with it. And I think next week is going to be a lot of setup for the journey, I think. And then I think the final 4 are going to be the actual journey. I'm so curious to see where they stop on the journey. We talked about it a little last week, but is it going to be more linear? Are we going to kind of follow both characters at the same time, or are we going to just focus on one and save the other for a future season or something? Like I'm so curious about that stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm guessing, at least from the way that they've advertised it, is I think it's going to be a parallel story. I think it's going to be
linear. Yeah,
both sides of the coin there.
And I think that works better for the template of television and what they have to do and trying to keep an audience. Like, it's weird because that's my favorite part of the second game, right? Like my favorite thing about the second game is it being a story about perspective, it being a thing of like,
from a certain point of view.
Like, I think I can say this, like, being forced to play as the character that killed the main character is one of the most, like, hard things I feel like in the gaming world that you have to do. Like, that is so tough. Like, as an audience, like, I know so many people that couldn't do it. Like, they couldn't play as Abby. Like, they raged with the game because of that. And
I heard
it's
that.
like, part of me wants to see what that would be like as an audience member, to like do this season as Ellie, and then be like, hey, next season, no Ellie. Like how crazy that would be as an audience member. But also, I think just trying to keep an audience together, I think it's smarter to do it this way of like, okay, we're just seeing kind of like an arrow where you're going kind of back and forth between the two characters and their journeys and stuff like that. I think it's going to be so fascinating to watch, and so fascinating to see kind of what they do with it. I know. Oh, go ahead.
Do you have a point in the second game that you played to that you think would be a good spot to end the season, where you're like, okay, I think if we end here, this is a good middle point for us, or a good, like, you know, a good end point if they're gonna split this game into 2 seasons?
There's a couple they could end with. There's
Okay.
a couple they could end with. I'm wondering which one they'll choose. And also stuff they're moving around, because like there's stuff in the opening stuff they haven't shown yet. I'm wondering if they're going to be moving around, if they're going to be shifting. Again, it's been a while since I played the early stuff, so I'm excited to keep playing and then be like, oh, maybe they can adapt this or this or this and this. I might play a little bit more after we kind of get off here as well. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay,
Because
very
I'm
nice,
like
very nice.
because I am having that like oh, I need to keep
Yeah.
going with the story. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I have that
Again,
buzz.
I'm gonna hold out. We've got what 5 weeks
Yeah.
left, so I'm gonna wait for these last 5 weeks to be done, and then I'm gonna, you know, dust off the PS5 controller and finally, you know,
Sure.
finally finish this thing, the
No,
first
it's
game,
fun.
the first game,
I-
and then have to buy the second game.
We're heading on that 3-hour mark, so I do want to
Yeah.
wrap this up here. But like, I do want to ask your perspective on Abby as a character, because
Okay.
again, they've done her a little differently. We're seeing her motives. Do you think she's justified in her actions here? And what is your take on this entire dynamic? Is Joel right? Is Abby right? Is Ellie right? Like, do you think there's any justified players in this game?
I don't think that any of them are right.
Okay.
Like, I think at the end of the day, yes, Joel did what he thought was right in the moment to save his surrogate daughter, basically, right? So, you know, you think about it from that perspective. He was trying to save her from a very tough spot, or what he perceived as a tough and dangerous spot. However, that caused a lot of collateral damage, and Joel ended up killing a ton of innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
Abby's dad is not the first or only innocent person that Joel has killed, just the first one that it's actually caught up to him.
Sure.
And I think I wouldn't necessarily say Joel deserved what he got, but he definitely lived a very controversial life as far as taking the law into his own hands and playing judge, jury, executioner. Yes, it's literally post-apocalyptic times, but, you know, it shows just how tough those decisions that you have to make are, and you have to make those split-second decisions in order to stay alive. And I think just Joel's string of bad decisions and only looking out for himself and being a very selfish person in a lot of ways kind of caught up to him.
Yeah.
And even Joel thinking that he is being selfless was still him being selfish. If that makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
Is he wanted to save Ellie, but she didn't necessarily need to be saved.
No.
And so I think that is the perspective there, and I think that is the justification in Abby's mind, is like, hey, this guy has killed so many innocent people. If I put him down now, then that won't happen again. And, you know, plus for her, she'll be getting that revenge for her father's death as well. So I think that if they play their cards right, if they really do a good job of explaining her background, explaining her story a lot, I think in some ways, I think you can win over the fans that are not game players, right? I think you can win over the minds of the fans that have not played the game, who maybe weren't quite as attached to Joel. But there's no way you're winning over fans like, again, say my brother, who played the first and the second game and loves them both to death. It's not going to happen.
Sure.
But I think there's a possibility for me to come out of this season saying, you know what? It's messed up that she killed Joel, but she's a cool character. You know, I think there's a good possibility that I end the season that way.
I'm kind of like, and this is someone who's thought about this a long time, and I haven't finished the game, so there might be somewhere there, but like as someone who has played as Abby, I'm kind of already there, and I think the show does such a bigger service to her and liking her as a character off the bat, because in the game they don't give you all this backstory. We don't know that it's her father. We don't know. Like, it's kind of like, oh, something with the hospital and blah, blah, blah. We don't know all this stuff yet. They just kill him off. She kills him, and we're
I guess
kind
this
of the
is stuff that
same...
you don't learn until you play her part of the game.
Yes, and which, again, makes that so much more tragic when you have to play as your player's killer. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, watching Harry Potter, and, like, Voldemort kills Harry, and it's like, well, now you're following Voldemort. You're like, what? No, he's killed the hero. It's such an interesting, like, perspective. But, like, I'm already kind of there. It's like, you killed her father, and you've killed her entire community and her group of people, and they don't know it yet, but, like, or, you know, they don't know it, but, like, their way of life, like, he took away their chance at survival and a bright future. Like, what he did, I love Joel. I think it's amazing. Is arguably unforgivable. Right? He had good intentions. He had good, you know, morals at the end of it. Like, he just wanted to save his daughter, and I do wonder if he would have told her there, like, hey, they were going to murder my daughter. The thing in life I care most about, the same thing you're about to do to me right now. And those parallels of, like, she was 19 when he went and did that, and now Ellie is also 19,
right?
And
now
she
is now seeing the exact same thing. Yeah, and now she's gone through the exact same thing, and you cannot. What's the terminology there? Like, you can't repay violence with violence or something like that. Something cheesy along those lines, right? Or, you know, the Batman quote, right? You know, if you kill a killer, there's still the same amount of killers in the world.
An eye for an eye leaves everyone blind. I think that's a great, like, representation of this game. It's like, well, you kill, so they kill that person, so they kill that person, so then they have to kill that person, and there's no laws to prevent these things. There's no laws to say you can't do that. It's just like, well, you kill me, I'll kill you. It's this cycle. It's a cycle, and it's so fascinating. Like, the comments right now are saying, no, like, Joe should have lived. It's like, yeah, but, like, switch, like, in any other show, she is the protagonist of the story. She's the main character, and Joel is the villain. If you just switch your lens, like what she did, like Rick Grimes did every episode on The Walking Dead, right? Like, you know, in that show, in any other realm, Rick is the big bad, easily, without a doubt, right? And so that's why I think perspective in this way is so fascinating to watch. So interesting. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the rest of the season as we go along.
Oh yeah. I mean, me too. I think, again, is not knowing a ton gives me such a fun perspective on it, and once again, it makes me that much more excited to finally go and play these games that I've heard so much about. Like, really, when The Last of Us first came out, like I said, my brother got really into the game, and I kind of just looked at it as I was like, oh, this is like the best looking PS3 game that's out right now. This looks like a movie. But I didn't really think too much more of it from there, because, again, I'm not the kind of person who loves these, like, survival games and stuff like that. And especially, like, the second game, it's like a long 40-hour, again, survival and crafting and all that sort of thing. Like, yeah, I play, you know, Assassin's Creed from time to time. I've dabbled into a little bit of, like, you know, a little bit of Fallout, but that's why I've never finished a Fallout game. That's why, I've played very briefly a little bit of The Witcher too. Is like, these are big, in-depth games that I don't have the time or the patience for a lot of it. And when I do, I end up putting 80 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla and never finishing it. So, you know, that's why I usually stick to, you know, my single player games and stuff like that, like, or, you know, my Call of Duty Zombies, or quick, easy multiplayer games, or something like that, like, or more linear games, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And this really does make me want to kind of branch out from my norm because, again, I'm really enjoying the story. I think, the cast and crew are doing a great job, and I think it's a fun way, too, for the creatives behind the game to tell the story in a slightly different way because they don't have to worry about players playing through the story. Like you kind of said, is we are out of control as far as that goes. We're not in control of the story now. We just have to sit back and watch it play out for better or for worse.
Yeah. We got to get out of here, but there's just two things I want to mention first before we do. The first one, I do love the scene where they're like about to head up to the mountain and Joel sees the thing on fire and there's like two directions that he could go. Like it feels like in a video game where like you're playing those like select the journey, select the it's like either go up this mountain and go with her and get dry and safe, or go help my friends, go help your family and friends. And he thinks Ellie's there at the moment, and he does go choose that, and it does make you think. I think both would have ended up with him dead. Like, I think if he would have went down that hill, he would have got mauled by all the infected. Like, I think that's what would have happened. But then there's a thought, but would he have? Could he have survived? Could he have helped in the battle? Would he have stayed safe? Or, I mean, she's still on his back at the moment. Would she be like, well, I'm not doing all that, shoots him in the head or whatever while they're heading to there? Does she get inside Jackson? Like, does she infiltrate their... Like, it does make me happy. Like, honestly, that, like, what if? Of, like, what would have happened?
I honestly kind of thought that was... like what the story was going to be. I thought that so before, like, even before that, as I thought that they were going to try to like integrate themselves into the society there and like gain trust, and like that was what the season was going to be about, is them like trying to be a part of the society, and then when they're like friends and everything like that, then they're like, nope, we're actually here to kill you, Joel. Like, I thought that was kind of the way that it was going to go. But I did like how it played out. And again, too, is I know we discussed it last week of like, oh, maybe they saved the death for the end of the season. I'm glad they just got it over with. They ripped off the Band-Aid. And now, like we said, we've got 5 episodes to kind of see, where we're going to go from here.
This action will have consequences. It's all about, this whole game is about actions having consequences.
Yeah.
Everything characters do are these domino effects that kind of spill over. The last thing I want to bring up, and this was, I think, one of the most emotional parts of the episode for me. Ashley Johnson singing at the end nearly cheering me up. So Ashley Johnson obviously is the voice of Ellie in the game, and that's I think that's a song they played in the trailer for the second game. It's Ashley Johnson's song, but like them playing it there at the end while they're rolling him away, to me felt like it was like Ellie saying goodbye to Joel in this like weird way. It was like her leaving her mark on the character that she loves so much in a way that our Ellie can't do right now because she's grieving too hard. But it's like, and the song they happen to sing about like the like Valley of Death and how grieving works. And like, I was listening to the song at work today. I was like, man, this is such a powerful song. Like, she does such a good job in this song. It's incredible. But
it's awesome. Yeah.
The great stuff. Taz, we did another 3-hour stream.
We did. Oh boy.
Which I had a feeling would end up happening, but I did not think so much of it would be Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. When you gave me permission to talk about Star Wars Celebration, you had to know that it was going to be at least like 30, 45.
I'll be curious how Andor looks over the next couple of weeks. I'll be curious if it can stay on track and
yeah,
be interesting.
You'll be hearing from me tomorrow night after I watch a little bit of it. I might only have time to watch like the first episode tomorrow when it comes out, but
seems like it might be like a
maybe like a 1 episode a night or some sort of thing. Yeah,
sure, yeah. But Taz, thank you for being here. This is a blast.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Where
YouTube.com/ToxicTaz, and I will be hiding myself from all of the infected.
Very, very smart. Shout out to Ronan. I don't know if his live is still going on, but he was live a little while ago talking about Last of Us. Our streams will be overlapping for the next 5 weeks or so. So
yeah,
that'll be a thing. But still, go check out that stream. Darth has a channel. Go check him out. We had him for a while. he dipped before we got into Last of Us, but that's all well and good. Check out the second channel as well. We just uploaded our reaction to the second episode. I cried a little bit, or got a little emotional a little bit, so go check that out. After credits, next week, we said goodbye to Daredevil, but we still got Doctor Who, we still got Last of Us, and we will be adding Andor to the pile of shows. And then what I would assume the following week after that would be you, probably, in some capacity.
Yeah. We'll be talking about you.
Me or them? Or you?
You.
I'm confused.
You all.
Pipeline this Thursday as well. We will be talking about Sinners, the new movie with Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld, and it looks really good. I'm seeing it tomorrow. It should be fun. It should be a fun talk. I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye.